Intros here right now. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Poetalk. Today we're going to be joined here with TheUberElite and Ghazzy, two well-known people in the community that are just gods at minion builds. They do minion builds, like it runs through their veins. It's great for you guys to both join us, and welcome.
Thanks
you
for having me on.
I just want to throw something out there that it only takes 2,500 hours to get us shavs and 2 comms. So I just want to throw that out there.
I got 2 shavs last Friday.
I'm
All
still
right, so
without stuff, but yeah.
If you were unfamiliar with last week's podcast, or no, 2 weeks ago podcast with Nugi and Moores, I was bitching that in 2,000 hours I'd never found a comms or a shavs, and then I found a comms, then a shavs, then a comms in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just gotta bitch about it.
I just gotta bitch about it and then play just a little bit more time. 2,500 hours. Anyways, sorry. So, our first topic of the day. Minion news from 3.0 reveal. So, recently, GGG was wonderful enough to let us in on some of the secrets that they have. And, minion builds have come a long way since they were first introduced back in the beta. And they've evolved quite a bit, over time up till now. They've updated the UI, or the AI. They've increased or reduced damage, depending on the skill, if it was too strong or too weak. They've capped off certain skills like SRS, Animate Weapon. They've added Threshold Jewels to support some of them. They've added things like Essence of Fear, which help a lot in crafting and add a lot of the things that minions do need. They've even added some support uniques, like uniques specifically for them. As we all know, both of you love your minion builds. How do you guys think GGG is doing with the overall changes? Do you like the direction they're going? We'll go with the TheUberElite first.
I kind of like some of the changes that they're doing. Some of them are kind of questionable. Some of them aren't even necessarily related to minions, like the aura changes, like the AoE changes for auras were kind of nasty for it. But when it comes to like capping off minions, it's kind of important because of the way that like they calculate combat stuff, and if you get too many minions, like there's a pretty big video on YouTube where some dude has like 120 weapons with a support, and it's just stuttering all over the place.
Oh, you're talking about the PowerPoint presentation he put up.
Yeah, and then the dude logs out by accident, and both of his friends die. So.
All right. That sucks.
Yeah. When it comes to things like Essence of Fear is a great step in the right direction, because a lot of the problems is that like getting enough minion movement speed for anything like that has to be in melee range. Minion movement speed is like super important, especially when like minions aren't like so aggressive, right? So you have to like control where they're going, and you can only have them in like a specific area. You can't have them like all over the screen, because controlling that is
it'd be an RTS at that point.
Yeah, it'd literally be like an RTS, right?
That actually would be kind of cool.
We're playing Path of Exile. We're not playing StarCraft, right?
Yeah, but I kind of think that'd be cool, right?
That would be cool. I play StarCraft, so
specters, go attack that group. Zombies attacking.
It's like a mini game. It would be fine.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So Ghazzy,
like,
what do you think? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nice. I think Uber got a really good point with the Essence of Fear being a step in the right direction, though a lot of changes has been questionable. I mean, many people don't know that, I've been here for many years, and I've had ongoing discussions with moderators, and specifically Rory from GGG, talking about summoners for the past 3 years. I stopped a year ago because nothing was being done, and one of the major issues has been AI, and it's always been problematic to change. It's always been too much to change to make it happen, to make it into put it in a good state. And I think that GG is trying their best, but some of their changes are horrible, to say it out loud. I mean, we're going to cover it pretty soon when it comes to the zombies, for example. But generally, there are changes that are completely atrocious, and it makes other people feel that, hey, they just gave summoners attention. You got attention. Why are you still bitching about it? And we're sitting here, us that actually play summoners to a wide extent, feels that these changes don't change anything. And then we have the new releases of items that has been pretty cool, but maybe not in the right direction either for many parts of that. Just look at most of the recent summoner uniques that has been released, and gems for that matter, has been better for non-summoner builds than they have been for summoner builds. I mean, come on. What's up with that? That's not really the right direction we're looking for in the end.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have United and Dream too. Like, I still don't think that United and Dream should have even been added to the game. I think that that unique was just like way too good for summoners actually, and created a whole bunch of balance issues. But that's poison. That's another topic, actually.
I was gonna say, well, so if you think about it, now bringing that up, do you think if they removed double dipping via poison and whatnot, do you think then it would still be overpowered?
Yep.
Maybe, because there's like the whole leech on it. There's not really a better source of minion damage other than, I guess, Essence of Fear. Even Essence of Fear, I don't think Essence of Fear can get more minion damage than United and Dream can.
It's like 30% on the sword, I think.
Yeah.
It's something like 30% on one hand.
Somewhere around 30, yeah.
No, but I agree with Uber there with the United and Dream. It's way too strong. Even if they fix double dipping, it's still too strong because of stacking, and that comes hand in hand with too many minions. The more minions you have or the more hits you do within a short period of time, the stacks of the poison, even without double dipping, is just, like we talked about before, the whole idea of being able to kill, Uber Theory in 0.2 seconds, 0.1 in a optimal state with in the clone phases with a nice Val Lightning Trap placed on top of her. I mean, it's, come on, where's the dungeon crawling? It just disappears. It's all about, blasting the screen, move on to the next room and do the same thing there. Lots of the fun, a lot of the fun parts about Path of Exile kind of dies with the clear speed meta as well. But summoners are, hanging in there with these changes, and Uber, the United and Dream is, as you say, Uber, it's way too strong. Shouldn't have been implemented in the first place. Even Severed is enough for most poison abusing summoner builds.
Yeah, I think people would still use Severed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for 3.0, they gave us a little bit about zombies. I know everybody's kind of upset about the news, but zombies did get a damage increase, right?
Yay! Exactly what we wanted. Everyone's excited.
Well, they also said something about a new zombie threshold jewel to keep the survivability up. I really don't think that's going to do too much, but since zombies already really have a terrible AI as well as bad survivability anyway, depending on build, of course, is it enough to actually make a difference when it comes to boss fights with zombies? Do you guys think that that's gonna help? And go ahead.
Well, to put it this way, I killed Uber at Siri with a zombie build before Ascendancies. That's before any buffs, before any good things happen for zombies, before we got the minion damage from the Ascendancy points. And I killed Uber at Siri, I think, with that specific build, shortly over 3,000 times. Did we need damage? No. Did we need poison? No. Did we need them to get more resilient? No. Did we need them to get a threshold jewel? No. Do we need anything else for them? Yes. AI. Please, just give them a brain or two. I mean, please. Like, that's all we're asking for.
What do you guys think of the? You know how they added the? Actually, I didn't even put it in any of these topics, but we'll bring it up now. With the most recent minion buff to elementals, like they added the elemental jewel to make the AI more aggressive. That's essentially what zombies need, right? I mean, if they were more aggressive, then they would become more useful. I feel, right? Or what else do you think they need? Now, to be fair, what if this was role-playing? Right? They're zombies. They're not supposed to be intelligent. So they're supposed to wander around, right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Like, give them a brain. Like, you can't give them a brain because, I mean, they're kind of retarded as it is.
But then again, I mean, we're a summoner creating an army. We can have that with the specters being aggressive. We can have that with the spirits being aggressive, enemy weapon being aggressive. Why can't this summoner itself create a minion that is aggressive and have another way of summoning zombies? A zombie gem giving us two available summoning sources. One being defensive zombies and one being offensive zombies.
Oh, even Even in the sorry, even in the description, they do state, once summoned, the mindless creature will wander about, defending its master. They're doing a superb job, right? Sorry,
God.
carry on. I'm done with the memes. I apologize. I'm probably not done, but yeah, carry on.
I mean, the best defense is a good offense, right?
Yeah,
You can't die if everything's already dead.
exactly.
At least with the current state of the clear
That's
speed
why they
meta.
added more damage to the zombies.
Yeah, so that's what we needed.
Yeah, and that's totally the issue right now. It's not totally that they miss like half their hits, right?
Well,
yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
well,
I
that'll
think
be in
the
the path of building section later on down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
I think the problem with implementing things like Primordial Might, making golems in this case aggressive, is a really nice thing, and that's kind of what we need for zombies.
Right.
Though, if we rewind a little bit back into a beta state where they had the Selfless Leader duel, which pretty much said that mods within a radius, medium range, I think it was, doesn't matter, mods within the radius was applied to minions rather than yourself. Then it was removed because of two reasons. One, it was getting too fucking strong for summoners, and the other reason was the duel itself would become mandatory for any generic summoner build to be used. So implementing a thing like that for zombies would generate an entire sort of set of uniques, or if it's only one unique, that would be needed for all type of zombie builds in the entire game. And they don't want to, bottleneck every build to be forced to use a specific unique. They don't want to do that, and we know that from the past, and that's why they removed the Selfless Leader. So if they want to change zombies, they have to change the core of the zombie gem.
Yeah, this duel's busted.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before. I didn't play back then. That's hilarious.
There's actually another use of it where you would use the jewel to negate, like if there were travel nodes such as acrobatics and you wanted to get phase acrobatics but you didn't want to get acrobatics, you would put in the jewel next to it, and if acrobatics was in a circle, you would allocate it, and that would just be applied to your minions. It would never apply to you, so you wouldn't get like the downside of getting less ES, less armor, and all of that.
Nice.
And you would be able to get like phase acrobatics without having the downsides of acrobatics. So
Yeah.
Well, luckily you can still do that with the final form, or the perfect form. Such a good
Yeah,
chess
you can.
piece. Anyways. So, with all
What
the...
I was gonna
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're
I was gonna say, so they were trying to buff their survivability, but don't you guys think? I mean, you already said that they didn't need it, but with the zombie strongman build, I mean, don't you guys think that was a kind of overkill for them too? I mean, if they didn't really need that, I mean, that didn't fix anything. What are y'all's thoughts on that? The zombie strongman build, the Monster Cross Graphs, the Baron, the Threshold Jewel.
We want to go first, Uber?
I mean, I've got a lot to say about the strongman build. First of all, like I'm still like not too big of a fan of zombies right now, so like seeing the things that helmet gives is for zombies is not exactly like appealing to me. It's not what I feel like zombies need, with like the whole AI thing, accuracy, all of that. And when it comes to that helmet, I more so see it as using it for other minions other than zombies. So
Yeah, that's a fair point. You had actually, sorry, real quick. That was a fair point that you mentioned. I hadn't even ever noticed this. What he's referring to, I have the Baron on the helm, or the Baron helm right now. It's a brand new helm that they added this most recent patch. What he's talking about specifically is your strength is added to your minions, right? As not to just your zombies, so everything. So carry on.
Yeah, it's literally everything. So like for something like Summon Raging Spirits, you get the melee physical damage added to it. There's some other quirky things with like Iron Will and stuff, but with specters and casting things and stuff. But I haven't looked into that too much yet. But yeah.
Now, would you use the helmet specifically just for that one line of text?
Potentially, yeah. It's also a really good leveling item. That thing 4-linked with SRS will carry you through like white maps even. So
yeah, it's really strong for SRS specifically. I mean, the strength. Some people have been talking to me about the life gain from it, but the life gain is atrocious. Like if you have 1,000 strength, it's the same amount of life as you get from the pre-buffed Montego's Grasp. So it's really nothing. But the strength application to your minions is much stronger for anything that actually behaves properly, and zombies doesn't behave properly. And I would never in a million years trust zombies in their current state to leech to me. I mean, the second you start relying your leeching to survive on these mindless, wandering zombies to defend the caster, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
You're gonna die so fast. But yeah, as Uber says, I mean, the strength added to your other minions, you don't even have to go for 1,000 strength for that to be applied anyways. So you can just add it to have extra damage for your minions. And of course, the Iron will support to use them for things like specters and or upcoming skeleton mages as well, which is something that I'm really hyped about as well. But generally, the helmet itself is a zombie focused. But to get back on topic for the strongman build,
Right.
it's a cool build. Yes, it can handle Uber's theory, but then again, we could do that way before the stats. I mean, at least for the Summoner players that knew what to do. And honestly, the strongman build, I can probably clear faster with the Gucci Hobo build. I mean, that's the clear speed it provides.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
just
we've
having
got a clip of the clear speed. I'll play it for you guys. This is with one that was posted that Ghazzy had kind of showed me earlier today. I'll play that for you guys.
I found it on Reddit earlier actually, but I mean, it's the clear speed is not very good, and you can add specters without the Soul Weaver Ascendancy node, and you can have one of those specters, and that would still clear faster than an strongman zombie build. And it's just atrocious, and especially in a game, in the game's current state, where clear speed is everything. The whole idea of if you're not clearing fast enough, your build is shit. If you're not clearing fast enough, you're a shit tier player, streamer, etc., etc. All those applies, and having the investment required for a strongman build is kind of substantial. Not to mention the fact that he's using spirit.
I was gonna say. He's not using Flesh Offering. I highly doubt he's using jewelry that have crafted life via essence. Do you think that's the flaw? His zombies are slow as hell. Like, I can't imagine that's with any kind of minion speed, right? Like, there's no way.
There's so many things that go into that too. Like, I mean, you remember, like, back in the day, having your zombies keep up with you was a problem in itself. Like, there was one point where we had smoke mine to keep our minions on top of us, and then they got rid of that and added convocation, which hasn't been changed since then. Like, back then, the 8-second cooldown was like kind of all right, but 8-second cooldown on convocation to have your minions stay up to you to fix your minions getting stuck in corners and stuff. Like, 8-second cooldown is so long at this point.
I want the D2 teleport. When you teleport, it fucking takes all your minions with you. Oh, that'd be so good.
Yeah. But I mean, Uber, what do you think about the convocations? Let me see. I'll bring it up real quick. Convocation.
There's a helmet in chat, right?
Let's see. Quality increases duration and cast speed. Cast speed is fine, but then every level increases the life regenerated. Let's see. Level 20 gives you 116 life regenerated over 2 seconds, and you can increase that duration a little bit with duration nodes and whatnot. So they actually get a really fat regen. That's like 116 HP. That's like 60 HP a second on zombies with 20,000 life. In normal, most zombie builds has what, 12,000 HP, I think, at this point. But they regen 60 life per second. That's just too broken, man. Too broken. Instead of actually giving us a shorter cooldown or anything for higher levels, they give us a life regen. I mean, it's almost as bad as animation roll flasks.
I mean, animation roll flasks are not like I still ran one on my life base. Because there's a thing with the flask nodes, like profane chemistry, that gives you increased life recovery from flasks, and I'm pretty sure that's bugged and like giving way more than just 50% life recovery. But
yeah, probably.
Because when you run like a sextant map with the life from flasks applies instantly, like I would use one of those animation flasks, and my 20k HP goal golem would be at like half HP, I would use it and it would go up to like 90%. And I'm like, wait, this thing's supposed to have 20,000 HP. How did it just heal for that much?
Yeah, I mean, if you just read it, in theory, it doesn't work. And then if there's a bug making it heal more, then fine. But then again, we've also established that, you know, with the way we solve leeching for our minions, they should pretty much never need it. The times that minions dies, at least zombies, is if they get super gimped through elemental damages, or if they get one shot or two shot in connecting hits. But you know, they'll never slowly go down in HP for you to use flasks in a reliable way to keep them up. And you know, once you start using summoners in a proper way, the higher stage, you know, Uber knows exactly what I'm talking about. When you have a lot of enemies in front of you, their HP bars, then you're keeping track of what, at least 5 up to 12 zombies depending on the build. You know, smack a life flask when 1 or 2 of them goes low. I mean, good luck seeing them going low in the first place.
You're pretty much just playing in the same way that, like, you know, you spam flask. That's part of your flask spamming, is that you just press that flask every so often.
Exactly, and then it just comes down to RNG.
And then you're the one thing that makes animation pretty bad is that you're wasting a flask affix for it. And in a meta where flask affixes are so good, where flasks in general are so good, like, that's a bad thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what kind of cooldown?
I mean,
Oh, sorry. Good.
Yeah, just summoners in general. We lack the potential defense, and that comes back to the Baron helmet, where the leeching goes to you if you have 1,000 strength from zombies only, though, which is, you know, it's a cool mod, but you can't rely on it. But you know, the other ways summoners has for defense is Val Discipline for CI, and then we have nothing, flasks. But of course, we can add an umbilicus cord. Yeah, vitality, we can have life regen, right? But I mean, it's just so silly. It's so silly. We have no way of leeching. We have, you know, movement skill to dodge the shit. But if we dodge the shit, our zombies will stop attacking and move to us because of the AI. So the only thing we have left is flasks, and then they give us a unique umbilicus cord. Hey, summoners, you want to lose all your, you know, the little defensive shit you have left to amplify the efficiency of the offense of your minions, which is not needed in the first place. Do you want to do that? Yes, please. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, that's all we have. And then we have, you know, AFK tank builds with, what, 15,000 ES being able to stand still versus Shaper, and he dies. I mean, where's the balance?
It only takes 6 hours, but they die.
Yeah, but they never die, but the boss dies. Minions? No. We as summoners, we're running around like scared fucking chickens trying to dodge everything. And as soon as we have to dodge too much, we don't do damage.
Or you just get to the point where you have enough damage and you deal with an elemental damage fight, and you just pop a Blood of Corruption for the elemental damage immunity. And
yeah, I mean,
that thing's so stupid.
Lose your amulet slot for that.
You just walk into the Phoenix fight, pop it for 15 seconds, you just like convocate, hi, bye. Full magic fine gear, I'm able to take down. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you guys think? You guys mentioned convocate being the cooldown too long. I do agree. What would be a reasonable cooldown to the point where it's useful but not busted?
I think the very highest it should be is 6 seconds. I think it should be even lower than that, potentially, at probably 4 seconds.
So do you think going from 8 seconds at level 1 and then over the course of the 20 levels, make it so that it starts to decrease over time, and then it ends at maybe 5 seconds? We'll kind of give it between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
I'd rather.
If there's level scaling on it, that'd be great. I mean,
I think they should remove the cooldown. And
that'd be way too busted.
that's overpowered in one sentence, but to follow that up. Okay. But 10 times the mana cost or something to make us invest in it, and actually maybe have use for something like reduce mana cost to make use of that, to have 2 flies in one.
Or maybe turn it into a movement skill, kind of like Diablo 2.
What?
Support the movement skill. When you use it, it convocates, but that would be.
It'll be like Katarina, right? She uses it as a movement skill.
Sort of like kind of like a flame dash type of thing.
Oh, right? 3 charges?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Multi-charges would be awesome, too.
That actually, that would be cool. I like that. 3 charges, and it has the same cooldown as Flame Dash.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
that would be much better as well. Anything to change it and remove the freaking life region, please.
I mean, the other thing about making it a movement skill is it frees up another slot on our bar. Like, if you have to have a slot on your bar for a movement skill, like, summoners are pretty starved on not only gem slots, but simply just skill slots. Having, 7 or I guess 8, although you wouldn't really use the 8th for anything but move only or golem.
I want more
which doesn't
buttons.
really count, but
I mean, even my Lich Queen skeleton build uses left click for skeletons. So I can move on left click, and then if I summon them, I have to hold down shift. That's my solution to get another action skill slot. It's so silly.
Just having one more skill slot would be fucking beautiful.
Yeah. But they did talk about it, right? Adding another section to have auras and stuff like that, and that would be godlike for summoners. But that doesn't solve the issue being socket starved from the start. But there are ways of sorting that. And every time we talk about summoners, when it comes to issues they need to fix, we always come back to the same things that we've been talking about for years after years after years. And if something's happening, it's what they did with the 3.0 reveal. That they give us damage. It's like the biggest lie in Path of Exile history. And then people will think that, somebody's got attention. Why are you bitching? It's not what we wanted, but it's something, right?
Right.
It's just stupid.
So I think we've pretty much covered zombies and what they need. It's not the damage. It's not threshold jewels. It's not items. It's just the AI, right? Like we've covered that. I think we've beaten that dead horse a little bit, but I think the next thing that they talk about,
beat it till GG changes it, Paleo.
The next thing they brought up in here was skeletal warriors and skeletal mages. So they've got a new balance changes for skeletons that are made to help improve the damage, cast speed, increase block chance, and then also 15. It looks like a maximum of 15 skeletons via. They changed it. It looks like they're reducing the number of skeletons you can have, but then allowing you to have more. It's like 5 overall. No, it doesn't grow with levels instead of growing from 4 to 6. And I guess they've reduced the damage, which is kind of strange to me. Oh no, they've increased the damage from 30. Sorry, I'm misreading it. But yeah.
Yeah, they increased it.
So what do you guys think about skeletal warriors and mages?
I think that the change is weird. We need to feel it in the beta before we say too much, in my opinion. But it does come with a lot of potential. I think that the reduction in amount of skeletons allows us to finally be able to make skeleton mages, because we can fill up. Let's say we have 10 skeletons maximum. We can actually fill those 10 skeleton slots with only skeleton mages being able to be summoned, which means we can run a full support setup based for skeleton mages. Right now, let's say you have 20 skeletons, but you can only squeeze out 10 of them to be skeleton mages. The numbers doesn't add up, but just play with the thought about it. And these skeleton mages, as soon as you've summoned 10 of them, the remaining 10 you'll summon will be melee-based skeletons, physical damage dealer skeletons with the incorrect support gem, because it's unlike enemy weapon. This is just one ability that you're summoning over and over again, which is overriding the oldest skeleton you've summoned. Whilst anime weapon, you need to target weapons, but that's also inefficient when you're looking at spirit guards and melee anime weapons when you're using castball channeling, for example, or totems and whatnot.
Right.
But generally, you can actually fill up the amount of skeletons you can have with only being able to be skeleton mages, making that an actual potential build for one. So I'm very hyped about this.
Yeah.
But they haven't improved their movement speed, so they've improved their damage a bit. But again, we come back to the point where not AI specifically, but their movement speed is problematic. When it comes to the skeleton warriors, you have to sort that, and we have solutions to it with the Queen's Escape. We have solutions with the Essence Craft. We have solutions with haste and Val haste and these things. But then again, all our focus on the entire gear and the build's approach will be speeding up your minions. And so you have to reduce your effective HP. You have to reduce all your defensive and offensive stats just to put in more focus on getting your skeletons to move, rather than any other build that actually can focus on this is offense, this is defense. Summoners has defense being very low in the list of what you have to do. And first will be fixing the AI. What can you do to minimize the impact of their horrible AI? Let's see, movement speed, damage. All right, next step. Okay, fixing all the uniques you need, because summoners generally uses a mega load of unique items. And then it comes to utility, auras. And there's your defensive stats. You got to survive when something hits you. It's just so hard to balance.
Right.
Yeah. Like skeletons have always sort of been like a sort of weird spot where where we don't really use them for damage too often. I mean, there's been a few times where we've tried, but generally, the popular use of skeletons was always like having a spell totem skeleton so that the boss gets confused and doesn't know what to target, and it blocks damage and all of that. And there's been better options with that now because of Cast on Image Taken. So at least it's like kind of repurposing it. I agree with Ghazzy that we kind of have to experience it before we can really know if this is good, and that the minion speed is still an issue. Like, it's still a gigantic issue that the movement speed is super slow. But
yeah, I think I've. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Their minion life's also like super slow, like super low. Like, they get one shot by just about everything.
Yeah.
So,
but then again, you can always resummon them, right?
yeah, you can always resummon them. And speaking of which, the fact that their mana cost is being reduced is like hugely important, because if you ever try to do anything with skeletons before, like you were looking at like 150 mana cost, especially if you put multi-strike on them, because multi-strike is a gigantic multiplier on mana, and then putting spell echo on top of that, it's just like, yeah, your mana costs are going through the roof.
Yeah, but they did also improve their additive damage effectiveness as well, similar to Radiant Spears as well, which I think was kind of a huge deal for the damage output, especially with the reduction hit they got. But then again, as we both agree on, it's we have to feel it before we can put a direct result verdict on what we think about it. But it certainly opens up skeleton mages, which will probably be my first focus with the beta, to make skeleton mages work. Because I've been really hyped about this. Not sure about you, Uber, but I do believe we both love the D2 Necro style anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of why we're pushing Summoners in Path of Exile as much as we are.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. Outside Skeleton Mages, the Skeleton Warriors, the main problem is AI. When it comes to AI, it's specifically minion speed and survival when it comes to the skeletons. Not as much as zombies AI is being an issue. The skeletons are really aggressive. It's just their survival and their movement speed. Movement speed can be, ignored when it comes to skeleton mages. But another way to sort this to some degree would make them able to be summoned through convocation, which they currently do not, right?
Right.
So, I mean, you can summon these 20 skeletons in a room, move into the next one. You can't convocate them in there, so you have to resummon them all. That's a really huge impact.
Yeah, it's basically like a worse SRS.
Is it because they have a duration tag, or is where you can't convocate them, they're not considered permanent minions?
Animate weapon is a duration tag, and they work
that
in
works just
convocation.
fine, yeah.
I
actually didn't know. I've never played a skeletal build. Well,
it's because of the way they have a separate AI system, so that instead of like targeting whatever you're targeting, sort of like what zombies do and what Animate Weapon does, they have a different AI system where they kind of work on their own. It's the same thing as SRS.
Yeah, they just kind of wander off.
Yeah,
which
they
wander
off.
I think it's great. What do you guys think?
It's great for clear speed meta.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question. Have you guys, either of you, ever played Grim Dawn?
Yeah, of course.
I actually haven't yet.
Oh god, you need to play it. At least play it for a couple hundred hours. It's really, really good.
A couple hundred hours.
You know what they have? You know what they have? They have a pet attack button. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah,
You can literally control your minions.
You can actually
so
just like
better.
tell them what to attack. It's fucking great. You actually can command them.
Yeah.
And you also have 200 more action slots.
So
you can actually control
inventory slots. Oh god, it's so good.
So,
I mean, it's just more better, but it's just better in that sense. But PoE hasn't really, in my opinion, stepped up their game throughout the years I've been here. When it comes to summoners in general, I mean, there's still fundamental issues and bugs and whatnot. Don't get me started on Femora of the Saints. But it's just crazy with the things that they release. And I understand, and from a free-to-play point of view, they have to invest the money that they get from MTXs and supporter packs, and they have to put that money in certain spots, which makes the players themselves, in my opinion, have less to whine about. Or I don't feel that I am entitled to bitch too much about it. If I, however, paid for the game, then I would feel that, you know, releasing a unique that is bugged and then fixing it and it still bugs is not okay. But it's a free-to-play game, so you can't bitch too much about it. But Summoners is, Reddit at least has shown several times that the people that wants to play Summoners is substantial. There's a lot of people that wants to play Summoners but don't because of a lot of reasons. Specters is a huge thing, but skeletons, zombies, and all these things, people don't do it because of the main problems they have. If they were to adjust those things, you would see a larger build variety, especially within the Summoner genre in the community as well. And we kind of lack that, which means that the Summoner community in today's state is kind of limited to SRS and animate weapons. And then we have a few people, you know, hanging on, like Mufasa in Lion King, man. That's pretty much how it feels.
Claws dug in
like,
deep.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I've never had anybody compare anything Path of Exile to Lion King. I love it.
So, how do you guys feel about that Spectre buff? I mean, now you can store them. What's up? What up? What up? Because
that's what they want, but that's what they want, but it's, I don't think they have it there yet.
I think the theory part
said,
was the being able to revive. There was one part there they were sure, and then they were trying to do something.
It says they're hoping to improve how they're stored.
This Specters has been on their table for, from my knowledge, for over 2 years now. So it's been on their table to work on. How much the focus they've put in and how much money and investment they've done to it, I don't know. But I know for a fact it's been on their table for over 2 years, after a lot of discussions that I've had with them. But Specters can be stored. The only way that's going to be good, in my opinion, is if it allows us to resummon them on the fly. Because honestly, with the Soul Weaver Ascendancy node, Specters don't die. They don't die. If they die, you've done something horribly wrong, or you play in the worst map you can find. My problem with them is the area scaling. I mean, why not just make them scale with your character level? That would balance things up so much better. But the movement speed cap and AI is bigger issues when it comes to the Specters than being stored. But then again, you know, most people are screaming for them to be stored because, you know, they want them to be saved when you log out. To some degree, that's annoying, especially. But, you know, the ground issue is that they don't scale with the areas. So if you pick them up in a level 80 map, you don't want to lose them, of course. And if you then log out, you're screwed. That's basically the main issue with them, that a lot of people are saying that they want them to be stored. But that has more to do with their scaling rather than, you know, you have to go resummon them. But you only have to resummon them once for every session that you play, similar to how you start your auras till you die or log out for the day. That's how I see it, at least. So Specters being stored, being resummonable, then yes. But storing them,
I was literally super excited about the Spectre thing. I'm like, they could be stored, and I've like for the past like however long this has been out, I've been excited. Like, okay, I'm gonna go back to Minions again. It's been like years since I played one. Now I'm like, why I can't store it yet? What am I gonna do?
So what if their change were something like this? Desecrate allows you to pick the mobs you want, because I mean it goes up to level 100, I think, at level 20, up to a level 100 monster or whatever. If they had some way, I don't know how they would do this, whatever they would do it somehow where like Desecrate picked the minions you want as opposed to just being in the area or whatever. Then they wouldn't need to be stored because you can just Desecrate and summon them.
That would be a solution, absolutely. Yeah, I think that would be a nice solution to it. But
GGG, hit me up.
I think that's a good solution, but it doesn't solve a lot of other issues, in my opinion, when it comes to Specters. But it would absolutely be a solution a lot of people are screaming for and really want to see. So I think that would be a good start, at least.
It would be a good start. It's just most of the problem is like we don't know how hard it is for them to code this stuff. Like every time people suggest sort of like Specters staying through logout and stuff, all I can remember is the point in 2.0 beta where Willy Wonka and somebody else that was with them on stream ended up pushing an update to beta that didn't require a server restart, but it changed certain data that when they switched zones from the old patch to the new patch, their Specters were suddenly changing. And like entirely changing, and they were sometimes getting unique monsters as specters.
That sounds
so.
sick.
When it comes to like keeping specters persistent, I'm sure GG remembers this, and like they're like, okay, we need to make sure this never happens again with our new implementation, because it caused so many problems. They were able to make the totem from Calm's Way, the thing that shoots a whole bunch of fireballs.
Ooh, it's so good.
The volcano boss, basically.
Yeah.
They were able to have that as a specter, and they had it as in Sire of Shards as well. So like, it was super ridiculous.
You know, I would rather see them. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'd rather see them do something like Necronomicons. I know a lot of people talking about it in the street chat as well. I'd rather see them implement some more usage of Katarina for the Master to, you know, somewhat save them, maybe summon them in your hideout, you know, something to, you know, make it a Pokemon event or whatever, make challenges for it, you know, gather, you know, catch them all or something, and then you can just pick your minions there and, you know, not levels, just pick the base minion there and then summon that, and that would be something that would actually allow us to see their ability and stuff like that. That would be, you know, the optimal change, in my opinion, because that would allow us to play around and have a larger variety of minions. I mean, some people using the curse necromancers from where you get the golden hand, Act 2.
Right.
And then the crypt, and then you have some people want to use the frenzy monkeys from Act 2 as well. But then again, there are so many minions in the game, and it's just getting everything's getting wasted because of how they scale. And if they fix that issue, we can actually have a larger variety of some of the builds, and you know, the genre of some of the builds would, you know, expand rapidly. So I'd rather see something like that, and it would be more fun to make newer build guides, because in today's state, when it comes to specters or any other minions, but specifically to specters, if you look at the skill trees of pretty much any type of specter build in the entire community, they look exactly the same. You know, every CI summon build looks this, and every looks like this one, looks like that. And then you have the minor amount of keystone builds, they look like this. And then you take away ±5 skill points, which depends on jewel slots and maybe, you know, how much life you're actually getting or not life you're getting. Those are the only differences. And then, you know, the skill points, the skill gems that you're using are slightly different depending on your personal playstyle. So, I mean, it's impossible at the moment, at least, to make a new summoner build because, you know, someone's already made it that maybe doesn't use the faster casting or the flame dash. That's pretty much the difference. And it's kind of sad. It's really sad.
And then you have those people that are just like low life, and they invest like 7 points into minion damage, and then the rest of it's auras because Commander of Darkness is such a ridiculously broken node right now.
Yep.
Thanks, Necro supports.
Now, have you guys messed around with any of the newer monsters, like the ones that do Blade Vortex? I've seen, like, I don't know if they were bugged or whatever, but I've seen the Blade Vortex ones that go in, and I think there was a Shaper fight with them, and like they like stomped Shaper. I don't know. It was a while back. So, you know, Blade Vortex seems good. Is like there's like Flicker Strike monsters, melee monsters. Like what are some of the cool things that you guys have done with specters, or have you not really given them a shot since they've kind of been stagnant?
Personally, I made a lot of calculations before the minion damage spreadsheet we got. We have been able to calculate damage from our minions to some degree using PoE database mine information, and being able to calculate most of it. But specters in themselves, I mean, Blade Vortex, you know, say hello to Poison, United, and Dream, and you can one-shot pretty much anything with it.
Yeah.
But flare speed is horrible due to movement speed cap. Flicker Strike, also really nice, but again, it's meh. Any other melee specters is always in the risk of dying, and player speed is again locked to the limitation of their movement speed, and that's the same thing as zombies. They're really good with damage, but you're getting locked in terms of player speed because of the movement speed, which is why any other ranged specters that can, you know, smack a GMP and take knitted horrors that shoots 2 screens away, you go into Dry Lake and you have them attack once, then you can, you know, run around and loot 2 screens away before you encounter any new enemies. Which is cool till you enter a map where, you know, they're not open world, so to say, and then they start, you know, really turning into shit, which means most people tend to go back to the Flame Sentinels because the ranged specters are just too good.
Right.
Yeah, ranged minions in general are just too good because, like, they don't, you know, get in the middle of a whole bunch of stuff. Like, Another thing about the Flame Sentinels is that if you have melee minions, you can see how powerful Flame Sentinels are against tight packs of groups, because all of a sudden, like, all your melee minions just die to them because they get shotgunned by 9 fireballs at once, and you're like, well, where did my minions go?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah, they kind of fixed a lot of issues with shotgunning, but collateral splashes still overlaps, which is really effective for things like Flame Sentinels. But then again, range is not just a meta when it comes to specters in the summoner genre. It's a meta that's been shown in all other builds as well. People would much rather play something that has an AoE explosion like Discharge, or has something that can shoot far like Spectral Throw or whatnot. They rather do that type of build rather than going ahead and play something like a Cleaver or something. It's not just summoner builds that is locked in this whole meta of playing ranged builds, because it's just better for clear speed. End of story. Yeah. And if we then can make that build, clear bosses just as fast as the Blade Vortex can drop down a Shaper with poison, I mean, then why would we bother if we then can clear 200 times faster with a ranged build that can also kill Shaper?
Also, when it comes to the melee minions and stuff, like there's another core issue with that, and that's like, why do they have to give like everything that has EK? Like, both the Exiles that use EK both have Fork on it. And then all of a sudden, like, if you're on top of your minions, all of a sudden you can just get one shot out of nowhere. Same thing with like Jungle Valley boss and Arachnid Tomb boss.
Shading.
Arachnid Tomb. Oh god.
Or the
and then Antolina Pora.
Yep.
Oh god.
I lost my hardcore character to that.
Natalie
SRS.
Natalie
SRS.
Portman.
The map was retarded, sexting it up and stupid rolls on the map, and I'm like casting SRS. I saw that she was there, thought she was dead, went to move forward, she shot once and I dropped. It sucked.
And chaining and forking, I think the chaining is worse. And then you have Abyssal Cry as well from one of the Exiles, and then getting that, spamming a lot of SRS as they run to the boss, and then you see Abyssal Cry, and he's just nice little line of explosions.
Thank God they fixed that. That was so, like,
yeah.
It did way too much damage and it lasted too long. Like, there's a VOD of Rich J Money where, like, he fought the Exile like a minute before, and for some reason the Abyssal Cry never wore off, and then all of a sudden he resummons his golem and he dies.
Oh yeah.
Because it blew up.
I think there's so much that counters minions in maps. I mean, they had a few changes not too long ago where they changed map mods and whatnot to make maps harder. But what happened was that they made builds that were already struggling to keep up with the clear speed. They made them worse, and the high clear speed builds were, unaffected. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I wanted to share something with you guys. When I first started playing the game, I have no idea when it was. It's been like 3 or 4 years. It's been a long time. Just time flies. One of my first builds was a summoner, and I really like summoners because of Diablo 2, of course, but I was really put off by a lot of the things that are going on with the minions. Like, I can't see my tooltip. I can't figure out if this does more damage or if this is really helping the minion. And, I was a new player. I have no idea, this just works better because of this. And, poison or whatever it is. I feel like that's something that the minions are lacking, like, in the game for at least new players or maybe mediocre players to see the difference. Like, oh, I'm doing more damage with this gen in, like, because it's there's not much there. But that's something that I would like to see GGG try to fix. And I was going to ask you guys, are there any other quality of life improvements that you guys think GGG can do to like just summoner base, basically?
Well, I'm kind of right there with you. I don't understand how we don't have a tooltip for half of the skills that we use nowadays. The system knows how much damage we're doing, clearly. Like, it has to calculate it on the monster. The system knows it. Why isn't it displayed?
And for me to have to go
damage
somewhere else to figure it out, like, I got to go to Path of Building to figure out how much damage I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's fine for me now, but, like, as a new player, I'm like...
the average new player is not going to go download Path of Building, upload somebody's build, or make their own build, and then calculate their own DPS. I mean, maybe that's just for a more experienced tool to use, but
But I mean, it's like you guys say, it's on the Uber side, it's not our damage. We're not the one doing damage, and that's something people who play a lot of summoners, understands after some after some complaints that it's not us doing the damage, but you can actually put tooltip DPS on SRS.
Oh, I know.
Getting added damage shows up on the tooltip. It doesn't do anything to the summoners and to the minions, but it actually shows up as a tooltip DPS.
Like when you have envy,
but,
it adds chaos damage to them.
Yeah, but then no, there are a few suggestions of how to fix this, like dummy DPS are in your hideout, but that's again later in the game, not something that you can use as a new player starting the game, going through Twilight Strand, now in Lionized Watch, you're getting your shit done. Oh, zombies, this is awesome. I want to play a summoner. Goes in, summons the zombies, and like, oh, these are awesome. Oh, wait, they're dead. And then, okay, let's check out their HP. Oh, they have, negative 5 HP. That's perfect. But how much damage do they do? It says nothing. So I have no idea to compare if they're so much dealing more damage than a fire trap. And it's just useless. But that's also something I've had a lot of discussions with them about, and the information is that it's too hard to program and whatnot, and that's again reflecting back to the game being a free-to-play model, and they have to invest money where it's mostly needed. And putting a tooltip DPS available for minions is not high up on their priority list.
Right.
Server issues is higher than anything, of course, and then have a lot of other things that they need to do. And they don't make money getting as a tooltip DPS on the summoners rather than, adding a new MTX to Mathil's next build. I mean, that's just how it is.
Oh, man.
So what kind of quality of life, because you kind of commented on me and Polabs, do you have anything extra that you guys, besides the stuff that they're trying to tackle, is there anything that you guys can think of that would be a nice quality of life for minions specifically?
Beside our quote-unquote Hodor zombies?
Yeah, besides what we've talked about so far, anything else?
Yeah, like, other than like the convocation thing, which we already talked about, I can't really think of too much at the moment. And the accuracy, which we're going to get into later, so...
I think I would like to see more affixes, preferably suffixes, because right now it's a little bit more advanced. I'll try to break it down for newer people watching. Affixes on rare items for summoners, because right now summoners are so locked in uniques. If you want to do a specter build, Bones of Fuller, Vis Mortis, more or less mandatory for any specter build. Then you can add other things to it as well, but they're more or less mandatory. If you're looking at a zombie-focused build, then you need to use Katarina mod on a rare chess piece. But that, again, is a rare mod, which is fine, but it's not a unique requirement. If you want to go with SRS, there are certain uniques that you would like to watch out for as well. But generally, it all comes down to the generic summoner builds using zombies and specters or skeletons requiring you to use uniques. One of the solutions is, as we talked about before, being a step in the right direction, is the essences of fear, making you able to craft movement speed to sort these issues. But then again, we have mods like Katarina for mini damage and gloves and whatnot, but I would love to see not prefixes, because we're already having lots of issues getting ourselves with effective HP when it comes to these type of gearings that would give us an extra specter or an extra zombie or whatever. I would like to see that be an actual mod, being able to roll on an item as a suffix roll on, for example, a pair of rare boots or something, not a mastercraft, actually rolling there when you're chaos spamming it or dropping it. I'd love to see that as well as quality of life, because it would then increase the amount of different type of gearing that you can do for a character, and it also makes it easier, and not too easy, but it would actually make it viable for us to play something like a specific summoner build in a solo self-found league. Because if you want to do solo self-found Spectre Summoner, you need to farm. One way of getting a Vis Mortis and Bones of Uller, you can only get that from Jack in the Box and stuff like that. There's no reliable way of getting these stuffs, whilst most other type of builds has their mandatory unique, if any, being farmable, and Summoners don't really have that. And Summoners is a genre of builds actually in the game that requires most uniques, and we can't even get them reliably. We have to trade, and don't get me started on trading.
Oh, God. I mean,
trade.
I mean, there's actually
no problem.
There's actually a thing where, and when it comes to minion stuff, I actually think that there needs to be somewhat of an overhaul on the way that minions actually scale their damage, because at the moment, if you look at scaling minion damage, like, there's actually not a lot of ways to get enough additive damage. Oftentimes you end up with like 250, 300% additive, whereas, you know, most normal builds are looking at like 400, 500, things like that. And it gets to the point where, like, you simply put on a bone helmet, all of a sudden your DPS goes up by like 20%. And it's like, because you don't have a lot of additive damage. So adding more ways to scale the damage, and it's especially true if you try to compare doing a summoner on any other class other than a necromancer. Like, necromancer gives you like 90% damage just for being a necromancer, right? Or more than that if you're going specter based, because, you know, the specter node. So like, being able to open up summoners from, you know, losing half of their damage simply because they're not a necromancer would be kind of nice, right? Because right now, if you're playing a summoner, you're either playing a necromancer because you're playing just about every summoner that you don't want golems to be immune to elemental damage, or you're playing an elementalist because you want golems to be immune to elemental damage and you want to achieve Shaper and Softcore or something while being dead.
Pretty much.
Fair enough. All right. So, Animate Weapon has been, I mean, Uber, you've played it for so long now. And I don't think it was really, as much as you've tried, I don't think it was really ever popular, right? Like, to my knowledge, I don't remember. It's never really been that popular, but you've played it a lot. You love it. I actually, for the very first time, I've played it this league, even after the nerf. And I feel it's still strong after the nerf. But what do you guys think about Animate Weapon, even after the nerf? And then specifically, we're going to be talking about the two different variations that are played. There's the Castwell Channeling Animate Weapon that uses Wither, and then there's also the Spell Totem version. And from what I gathered, you typically favor the Totem, unless that's changed.
I typically favor Totem, yeah. But if I were to be able to drop the Totem for like cast on channel, both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. They're both very good in their own regards. But when I was playing in Breach League, I went with Totem always because in particular I was running pretty much every single map with Beyond as well, and you know, Beyond plus Breaches, you end up having a lot of corpses, so it was really nice to be able to just drop the Totem, continuously summon weapons while being able to clear out corpses by massively blowing things up with Flesh Offering. And on top of that, with Spirit Eater, you got 2% cast speed on top of your Flesh Offering bonus per corpse you've killed recently or exploded recently. So you would end up with like 200% cast speed, and your Totem would just be going off like crazy. Just it would actually get to the point where it's summoning faster than cast on channel at max level. So
yeah, that's what somebody had mentioned to me, that the Spell Totem isn't good anymore, quote unquote, because there's a cap now. So the extra speed that it animates is no longer viable, or it doesn't matter anymore. Because you can reach maximum with both. So it's like,
I think that the Spell Totem was better without the cap, but you didn't need those extra minions. The minion cap just removed the bonuses or the pros of using a Spell Totem. I think my main issues with the Spell Totem are two problems. One being their range cap. The weapons has to be within a certain amount of range, otherwise the Spell Totem doesn't reach it. Castwell Channeling is locking the range to yourself as a player. And it is generally better for the ranged one, but also giving you that Wither for the poison approach, which is kind of what you want to do with the Animate Weapon. And you don't need the damage support gems. Like going with the Castwell Channeling, you know, that setup removes support gems from you. And I mean, at the moment, I'm running CWC AW, we're breach farming, Magic Find gearing, averagely dropping at 1 Exalted each hour, which is crazy, carrying 6 people in a breach stone with 1 attack, so 1 damage providing support gem. That's it. And it carries 6 people in a breach. And I use Castwell Channeling for it. If I were to use the Spell Totem, I think it would be less efficient. But then again, you don't need to get that many extra weapons. You just get that Wither out there, and that will be covering it. But The other issue with spell totem is actually the mana cost being a lot higher for it. Whilst cast while channeling, if you use a level 3 is the highest you want to go with the Wither, and you don't even have to use an Elrond ring, but you can sustain that with a level 1 clarity. And if you then have an Elrond ring, you can make that castle channeling Wither cost 0 mana if you want to. Like if you really want to push it, that is possible, which is insane. So you spend 0 mana doing it, and that means you can, make room on the skill tree and or gear to not bother the mana issues that Spell Totem has a tendency of bringing, and making it just smoother. And it eases up on everything else you want to do. And like we talked about before, the priority list you have when you're creating or playing a summoner build is, you want to fix the AI and tackle all the issues that comes with. Then the minions offense. And then after that, the utility, and then you comes to your defensive stats. If you didn't bring in having to sort the mana issues of using a spell totem, that's going to be above sorting your own defensive stats, which means that in the end you will become more vulnerable because you're using a spell totem. And the current state of the game, you don't need to. But in before, having spell totem actually gave you something extra, which in that case was damage, which you don't need now.
Yeah. So guys, me and you have been actually. Oh, sorry, Uber.
Yeah. When it comes to the mana cost, like the mana cost of cast on channel was what enabled CI to ever work with animate weapon, because like when it came to using a totem or even playing self cast before the totem, CI was not really an option because the mana cost was so high on animate weapon that you would just run into mana problems all the time. And when you play life based, you have EB MOM with the Zealot's Oath Flask. So that was another reason that cast on channel was a huge help. And then of course you have to mention United in Dream was part of the reason that all of this even came up in the first place, because you freed up a link and that enabled other things to be put in instead.
Yeah, me and Ghazzy are actually playing like pretty much mirror the exact same build. I haven't looked at the skill tree, but just watching the stream, we're both doing toll breaches. And when I was in there, I've kind of showed him or told him what I was experiencing, and then he's experienced the same exact thing. So it's fairly common. Magic finding breaches with cast while channeling in full Magic Find gear is just retarded.
It's insane.
It's
it's absolutely insane.
It's spoiled the shit out of me. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
There was like a stint of like 100 toll breaches where I didn't find any. I found 1 exalt and 1 key, and then like nothing else. Oh no, I did find a comms. I guess we'll mention the comms, but it's like 100 C, so I feel like it's nothing.
I mean, I guess I found a comms,
But still, but
Dude,
what I mean
real?
is, on average, every single time I was doing it, I was averaging 3 to 5 X and 3 to 5 reliquary keys. So when all of a sudden this happened, I'm like, GGG nerfed this shit. It's nerfed. There's no way. I'm at 100 stones, 1x. It's nerfed. GGG Shadow fucking nerfed it. I was like throwing all around. And then like the next day, I bought more stones and I tried it again. And all of a sudden, oh, an Exalted Orb. Oh, an Exalted Orb in the same fucking map. That's happened twice now. It's crazy good.
Yeah.
It actually depends on the mules you're bringing. Not to hate on the other guys for boosting voice, but it depends on the mules actually. Because experience and loot range is about 1.5, 2 screens. Needs 2 screens, but the source of the kill is where the distances is required from. So when you're playing a ranged character and you're killing something, so anyone that is within 2 screens approximately away from where you are standing that are actually doing the kills gets experience and also gets an impact on the bonus side of quantity and rarity for the party bonus.
Okay.
But our enemy weapons, they're melee. So they have to be 1.5, 2 screens away from where my enemy weapons are killing. So the way I do it is, I don't want them to be in my face because I don't want to have a fight when, when an Exalted drops or something like that, because that's not what we're doing. We can profit doing it solo as well. It's just less profitable.
Right.
So, I want to have the guys standing so that they can see my character, but not closer. So as long as they're within that range, they get experience. Otherwise, they don't get the experience either.
Right.
But they also provide the quantity and rarity bonus. And as long as you have a good group of mules that actually are staying within that range, you get the drops as well. And you can clearly notice the drops being significantly less every time you're killing something when they're not close there. Like when you're flame dashing ahead to speed up the timer and you convocate, they kill a large pack of enemies, maybe only 1 chaos or 2 drops. But if they have, if the people are actually there, then you drop in, 5 or 6 other currency items as well. It actually makes a huge impact.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because during that day, I had what I called my deputy. I had my deputy where he would like keep them back. He would like yell at them or whatever. And now that I think about it, I kept telling him that he's too far back, and I wasn't sure how loot worked. I know how experience worked, but I wasn't sure if the loot followed the same rule as the experience, where they have to be within two screens. That's interesting. That could have been why
they had to
my
do
drops
that.
were such shit.
They had to do that because otherwise you would like just keep a whole bunch of like level 1s at the start of the instance, and this was back in like.
Shit, when I started playing, I sold mules. I leveled them up to 35 because you have to be level 35 to enter Merciless.
Oh, yeah.
And then I charged like I think it was 1C per map. And what I would just do is, put my fucking level 35 characters at the start of the map, and the guy, paid me, and then I put my characters in there, and he cleared the map, and he got loot for 6 months soloing a map whilst my character was just standing at the portal.
Oh god, dude,
so good.
I'm glad they fixed this back in like. Way back in closed beta, like before even 1.0, there was a point where they realized, and this was actually with somebody who I don't think was a dev at the time, but ended up becoming a dev. Like they were like 5-man grouping, and all of them were like working on a rare because clear speed was really low back then, and some other dude like literally went and like cleared the rest of the map because Ground Slam was meta back then, and and then they realized, wait, dude, you just got like a crap ton of experience, and it used to be that if you weren't in range of your other party members, you actually got more experience by partying. So there were people that eventually would like bring in like 5 mules into the map and get 6-man party experience by having all the other 5 be out of XP range, just sitting at the start of the map. And I also did this with I also did Merville farming back when Chaos Recipe wasn't level restricted. When in like normal, I would just bring in some mules and have them increase the loot and stuff. And this was back when this was allowed to, so.
Now, Uber, have you done any of the toll breach farming with, or any breach farming with groups? Have either? So since we've all done it, have either of you ever had anybody try to take an exalted or anything big?
I haven't had that. I did it really early on. I was offering breach carries and stuff for people very early on in the league, and I'd let them get boss kill and everything as well.
Right.
Because that was part of the achievements, and then it kind of exploded into a big thing. But I kind of did it mostly for the gem XP.
Anything?
I mean, when I've done it, it's basically just for the experience. I don't actually bring them in for the. They get loot as well, but it's not something I feel that is being good for me to promote when it comes to boosting people in the breaches, because sure, they make currency, but they make a fraction of what I'm doing.
No. What I mean is, have you ever had somebody try to take something, like your loot rules are stay a screen back, I pick up whatever I pick up, and nobody else is allowed to pick up anything until I walk past it. Have you ever had anybody try to like specifically what happened to me? I'll tell you. An exalted dropped. I picked it up. I see a guy shield charge towards that exalted, like fucking dead on. Try to take it. Yeah. I asked my stream, I'm gonna clip that for me because I'm pretty sure somebody just tried to take that exalted. I didn't see who it was exactly. And then I watched the clip, and it's like exalted drop. He shield charged straight for it, and I'm like, dude, I gotta kick you, man. I gotta kick you. You already took 2 chaos prior to in that run. I'm like, so have you ever had that?
Well, when it's divine or higher currency, I'd like it, but I kind of tend to, if I'll drop a chaos orb or not, left it behind me, I don't really give a shit. But when it comes to the stealing, I've had yesterday, I heard a T1 drop or a exalted or higher dropped, or divine or higher dropped, and no one saw where it was. Nobody saw where it was.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Some guy said it was one of the dudes went to the side of the map and then came back, but nobody saw it. Nobody said anything. So I don't know what I lost. But in the end, I mean, if it drops where I'm standing and the rules are there, then obviously it's going to be pretty nasty. Then it can happen with the public group, which makes it easier for us, the streamers, to have people that actually can follow the rules and whatnot, which is nice. Right. But that's the problem when you're doing these breach stones. We can profit solo, but we do gain a little bit more from bringing people in. And if we don't get a full group from our streams, then we go grab public people, and you know, Reddit has shown a lot of trades and the scammers and get your scam steals and whatnot. You know, you know, the result is that you can't trust anyone, right?
I mean, that's the majority of my people that I run is just in, like, it's gotten to the point where in 820 people like have me on their friends list and like wait for me to run, and they see me online, they message me like, are you doing any toll breaches today? And I like those guys because those guys are probably the guys that are dependable and that aren't going to try to take your shit. It's just frustrating. It's almost like a slap in the face when you're providing a service. Yes, you want profit, obviously. You're going to make money, and it's almost impossible not to make money. But like, they're still getting, for me, they're still getting all the rares. I rarely pick up anything but jewelry. I pick up jewelry and then anything over like a jeweler and a fuse.
Paying
but, like,
for it.
Yeah, it's free. It's completely free for them.
Yeah,
I'm paying for every single run.
I don't even touch. I don't even touch the jewelries or the neither jewelry gear or jewels or anything. I'll leave everything. I just take up the uniques that I want to have, higher end quality gems and currency and T1 uniques. Everything else I leave. It just goes faster that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
You know that. Yeah, but then again, I mean, there are people that will steal the stuffs and whatnot, but that's the problem when you're doing public runs like this or services in this type of way, which is kind of sad. And you know, the game is not really meant to be played this way, I guess. But it's just one way of doing it. But then again, it does come with a risk, and the only thing we can do as a service provider is you know, kick them if you see that they're doing it. But I don't know. I think that it would be better in hardcore. I'm playing softcore this league, actually. In hardcore, it would be more lucrative because then you could actually charge people for doing it. I don't feel that would be fine to do in softcore.
I agree.
Because, you know, it's just it's a lazy factor. People get boosted because it, you know, goes faster. They don't have to do shit. They can sit and eat their cereal if they want to, whilst they're getting experience. But in hardcore, you know, you're risking your character is one of the things, and then you would rather want to get, you know, currency in case your character dies and whatnot. Do you guarantee it to be profitable for you? So it's a bit different in that sense, and that also means that less people will try to steal your item. A level 60 character is not going to shield charge into a rare tool big guy doing a Storm Herald whilst they're an Exalted there to risk his character. I don't think this is going to do that.
Yeah,
but
or he might. Then when he dies, we all laugh at him, and it's great. It's perfect ironicness, you know.
Unless
except he died with the Exalted potentially.
Exactly.
Well, it might be worth it though.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, it's a risk we're willing to take. I think it's a nice service in general, but you know, I use my currency to craft with because it's fun. But in the end,
it's so good. Crafting's insane in this league. It's oh god.
Yeah, but that's also something that is more fun to do in hardcore because more items are valuable in hardcore leagues. But that's another topic.
Yeah, even more so in solo self-found.
Oh yeah. So Ghazzy, I know that Uber has talked about doing the totem, and have you messed around, both of you actually, but have you guys messed around with the totem version this league versus Caswell channeling?
No reason to.
I tried
think
it.
Caswell channeling is superior.
Yeah, I tried it. The damage is significantly worse. Now, to be fair, I don't know all the damage links that would be best with Spell Totem, but I felt like with Spell Totem and the extra damage you got for the extra links because you're not using Caswell channeling and you're not using... Oh, yeah, you see, you free up one extra link. So I thought that would make up and give more damage, but it was terrible. The Wither is strong with all the cast damage that you have and all the poison.
Oh, yeah,
Wither's... Oh, my God. It's so strong.
Wither's really
Without
strong.
it, it's garbage.
I mean, you really only use Totem for the clear, and then when you get to the boss, if it's like a high HP boss, you swap out the Spell Totem for Multi-Strike. And if there's any adds on the boss as well, you still have your melee splash in, so you can still clear out adds and stuff. And that's one of the reasons I like the Totem, is that I can keep it melee splash for anything that has adds. Like sometimes Minotaur just pops out some golems and stuff.
Right.
But then again, if you do Caswell channeling or doing breach farming with quantity gem, when you reach a boss, you can always remove the Caswell channeling for a minion damage.
Or what I found is pretty sweet is you use a Skin of the Loyal. That's my preference of chest piece. I don't know if Ghazzy, if you're doing the same thing, but Skin of the Loyal with a white socket, and you use that jewel. You can put whatever you want, whatever gem you want in there. So you can swap out the Caswell channeling, which is what I've been doing. So you swap out the Caswell channeling, put in whatever damage jewel. When I've been farming T16s, the Phoenix, that's what I would do. Just swap
Yeah,
out because
but
I
I
have a white
never
sock. I
felt
can
that
put
you
whatever.
needed to change it. I never
Well,
felt
for
that you
Phoenix,
needed
you
to
do.
change it though. Yeah, but I haven't run Phoenix with it. It's not in Magifine at least.
Yeah, you can.
I
You
do
can
use
do
the
it.
Skin of the Loyal though.
You can definitely do it. You use the Blood of Corruption and you just stand there. It's cakewalk. It's really easy. I would recommend it if you want to farm like crafting bases and stuff.
But then again, just like Uber said earlier, and I agree, it's too broken, and the damage is just too unreal. So I mean,
for one
we don't
damage,
need to. I mean,
retarded.
the animate weapon, thanks to the poison, the animate weapon can kill anything in the game. Uber theory does require some tweaking. It's zero to some degree, and if you're unlucky, and that's the gluttony ability to for the elemental damage. But that's pretty much it. You can always tweak the animate weapon build to handle everything. I made the low budget version. Sister has been playing the high budget version, and then there's the Magic Find version, and they all look pretty much the same. It's just different type of gearing depending on what you're actually looking to do with the build. And because of poison, it kills everything. It's pretty sad to see.
I mean, the core of cast on channel is that it enables CI. Like I said earlier, like that's really the biggest reason to use cast on channel is that it actually enables CI as a possible defensive option. And I'm sure everybody knows about the whole CI versus life thing right now. So.
Right. Yeah, like what is spell totem? For me, it was like 200, but that was with like with item quantity, and I don't think the mana multiplier is higher. It should be lower than like a damage jewel, a gem. So I'm guessing, what is it, like 250 with all the full damage setup if you're just doing totem? Like the mana.
I don't think item quantity has any mana multiplier at all, right?
Really? I didn't even. I've only used it this league.
Shouldn't have any item. Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing it since before it was even like a totem or cast on channel thing, and even without the totem, it's still really high mana cost. Still really high.
But that's again the whole idea with you lose defense stats for playing spell totem, and that's why I don't like doing it, especially in the current state where you don't need it. Plus, if you go above 50 weapons before the fix, it crash servers. Even 50 weapons, there's still a huge risk of crashing servers if there are too many Rs being placed. I know that 20 radiant spirits moving in and out of too many Rs will fuck you over anyways. I mean, we don't want to destroy it even further, do we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the rules is everybody turn off their auras, and there was this one guy that just he was like, "Why? I'm a guardian. It's what I do." I'm like, "Do you understand how bad I'm lagging right now, and everyone else? You have 15 auras up. This is not good. Turn your auras off." And he wouldn't do it, so I had to kick him. I'm like, "Come on, dude, really?"
There was a point where a Moscow server was like, I don't know if it was like because nobody was playing on it or what, but I used to play on the Moscow server, even though I'm US East, and it used to be that Moscow server was so good for some reason I could literally have 80 weapons with a Guardian. And there's a video of this where I was 5-manning a off-breach stone, and everybody had their auras on, and there's like no lag whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. You have like 100 buffs, and you look fine. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, it's playing right now, actually.
Yeah.
So you had brought up Ghazzy, you had brought up the animated weapon Spirit Guards jewel. Nobody seems to know about this jewel. It was recently changed in this most recent patch as a part of one of the upgrades of the of all the older uniques. Do you use it? Do either one of you use it?
Nope, would never.
I don't use it either.
What, really? Maybe I'm a noob.
The biggest thing about it is that it puts you over the 50 cap. It allows you to have more than 50 weapons, which is kind of nice. But the thing is that you can't, like, it's basically single target buffer, right? You can't really AoE it without also nerfing your melee weapons as well, which is the majority of your damage.
Now, there was a group of people... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ghazzy.
Yeah, there's like two issues with it. If you have it, your castable channeling or totem would pick up any range weapons, even if you're limited to a certain amount. They would just refresh all of those rather than getting, as Uber said, refreshment on the duration of your melee enemy weapon. So therefore, you actually lose efficiency, and in some cases, you need to cast more to be remaining, keeping yourself efficient when you're playing, which is kind of sad as well. But the other issue is that they just become a single target damage provider, because you have your majority of damage is going to be melee ones. You have support gems based for that, which includes melee splash. You basically get a support. In my setup, it would be one support gem giving them damage. That's it. Whilst in the melee ones, they have one support gem and melee splash. and that's just too inefficient. There was a good animate weapon approach using Jorha's Blacksteel, exactly, with the poison. Not enough new ones all the time, but they fixed that because there was an issue with it not getting the range weapons. You wouldn't destroy yourself. So the range weapons kill some poison generated melee ones. But we don't have to go into much on the mechanics of that one because it was fixed. But you know, the fact remains is that when that was fixed, there was again nothing really good about it, unless you made a build specifically only using ranged animate weapons, but you then have to target, so that you only pick up melee weapons. That means you have to animate manually, which is highly inefficient for a lot of races, of course. And you know, we don't have to go too much into that either, but that's one of the few ways where ranged animate weapons would be good. And it's a pretty cool thing, but it serves the same, it has the same issues as Skeletal Mages has at the moment, where you're getting capped by having the same ability summoning two different type of minions, one being range and one being melee, but where both of them are scaled from different type of support gems. And that's getting sorted with the skeletons with the 3.0 or the beta at least. But Animate Weapon still has that issue.
Right.
Aren't they a separate cap though?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can have 50 melee and 12 ranged. So let's go with the 50 cap. They're separate caps.
Yeah, you have 16.
Yeah,
range.
but if you have 50, they refresh the oldest one, so you have to target it manually.
Yeah, but that's only melee weapons. If you animate a ranged weapon, it's just gonna refresh over an older ranged weapon. So it doesn't actually destroy your melee weapons. They live I can't think of the word.
Simultaneously?
Something like that.
Yeah, in my
absolutely. I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they do provide extra damage. It's not a bad thing per se, but the investment is not worth what you're actually gaining for having it. I think that's my main issue with it. Like the actual gain of having them is not worth the investment.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I said earlier. Like, I think they have minion damage on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but like
most of the cases, at least. If you go poison, you rather use Out of Chaos.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the jewels.
Yeah, the jewels.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
the jewels have flat minion damage on them already, so you're not really losing anything besides like an energy shield for yourself or something like that.
Or extra minion, or a little bit more minion damage because, or increased minion damage rather, because somebody's gonna go off on that.
Sorry,
but
increased minion damage.
But
God, if they were
I don't think it can go up to the 16 minion damage that a normal jewel can get. And it goes back to what I said earlier about, you know, how important additive minion damage is, especially when it double dips, right? When we don't have a lot of additive minion damage, you know, every single bit that we can get is super important. So
yeah, it's 8 to 12.
Yeah.
The experience that I've had with it, and this is just based off of, like I said, I'm new to minions. Like, I've actually never been a really minion lover since Diablo 2, and I didn't feel like Path of Exile's minion really hit that spot for me when I first started, which was back sometime in who cares. But a lot of people were telling me that they were having to zone out after the minion cap. They can't kill full party tolls. Now, Ghazzy, do you have the party zone out, or do you do full party boss kills?
No, I don't bring them in for the boss tool breach stones. Like, the best you can get is refunded tool breach stone from the boss loot. So I just use throw them out, leave as soon as I see the boss portal, and I go in and kill it myself. And if I get a blessing, that's great. And then I just use that on whatever I drop, unless it's a necklace, then I sell it for like 9 or 10 chaos. But I just use the blessing on whatever else I get, and then vendor it for 10 fragments. that's what I do. And I don't care if I fail the boss kill, because sometimes when you go in, when he targets you or one of your weapons, you convocate too early to move them away from the AoE. The boss do this 180 spin and starts fucking you over and all of your minions.
I have a way to solve that. There's a reason why he does that, and it's probably bugged still. But if you if you don't move, trigger the boss, stand there. If you don't move until he starts casting it, he'll never do it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you go behind him too fast, he'll do that fucking 180 and nearly kill you. I've died twice to him doing that, and I've never died before.
Yeah, I've died once to it and learned from there.
Yeah.
But it's,
my solution is Blood of Corruption. You just bring in Blood of Corruption, and that's why I like the Life EB version. Is that I don't delete my stun immunity. You just bring in Blood of Corruption and you cast it, and then you have 12 seconds to kill the boss. You don't care how many people are in there. 12 seconds is going to be enough to kill like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Except like T16s.
I don't know.
Well,
I just
you can kill them in 12 seconds.
I
if you
use
have
it. I
full,
love it.
damage support.
You know, I've been trying to get everybody to use it because I feel like it's great. But you guys definitely have the knowledge pool to, you know, I just can show with my experience that I feel like it really helps the single target damage Untold to be able to do the full party kill as enemy weapon with full Magic Find gear.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that were telling me that in my runs, they're like, "Are you sure I can stay for the boss? Because X, X, Y, and X can't do it with the whole party in there." And they said that ever since the nerf, they can't do it, and the build shit now. Like, I love being able to animate bows and everything, and I definitely understand your point where like the melee splash does nothing for them, so it's literally just added chaos. But
it is also nice for Toll Breaches too, because he has that Vortex AoE, the Chill AoE around him, which actually gives him dodge chance and spell dodge and stuff. I don't think it affects the weapons inside of them other than chilling them, but if the ranged weapons could stay outside of that, they can potentially do more damage than the melee weapons because they're not getting chilled. But
then again, we as we've shown, doing 6-man carries in there with a build literally shows that we don't need range weapons. The investment is not needed. We can go in with a 5-link. We are carrying with 6 links, but that's with the quantity gem. So I mean, we can go in with a 5-link.
You can also have rarity jewels as well. You can have like a minion damage rarity jewel. So
exactly,
you're missing out on 5 rarity in each of those slots that you're putting it in.
Exactly.
And that can add up over time. Like I've always been a huge person over like having 50 rarity on like any build is going to improve the amount of money you make just doing anything. Even if it slows your clear speed down by like 5% or something, or 10%, or it lowers your survivability slightly, having 50 rarity just while farming maps or anything is just incredible. Yeah. And it pays off over time.
See, I've heard the exact opposite, that rarity doesn't matter, quantity is everything, because quantity is affected by...
Oh yeah, quantity
currency is
great
affected by, you know, the quantity, but rarity does nothing, so...
Yeah, that's why they nerfed quantity at one point. Yeah. Is that it was just like this was back in like when like Dominion's Spark Totem build was like the huge thing, and he would literally just farm docks and in like 200 quantity and like 100 rarity because it was so easy to stack quantity back then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, quantity is not only for the currency, which is only rolled on quantity. To be honest, it doesn't have any specific rarity roll within itself either. The quantity is making your rarity do another roll check. I do believe for 6-man boss kills, I know Man Ocean did a lot of these back in the days where like 300 something rarity would guarantee all drops to be rare or higher, and then after that it was just quantity. There was no reason to have more rarity, so whatever else he got through the quantity would give him more items that rolled either rare or higher. So rarity has sort of a soft cap, but also to note something that not everyone knows about is that when it comes to rarity and quantity with parties, is that they scale multiplicatively with the party bonuses, which is insane when it comes to quantity. And that also means that getting about 100 rarity is more than enough to get that cap where more or less anything that drops will be rare or higher. And then you just go for quantity to make that roll, spin that wheel enough times till you get those shafts drops, till you get those counts drops. And that's pretty much it. And that's why quantity is so much better.
So I guess I've inadvertently done that. I did not know it scaled multiplicatively.
Yeah.
It's just too good.
I miss those days when we could multi-client Dominus and actually or just 6-man Dominus, not even multi-clienting. I miss those days where we would have things like that, and I guess that's what Breaches kind of brought back. But we would literally optimize the living crap out of it, figuring out where rarity's diminishing returns actually come in, because there are actually diminishing returns on rarity. Like if you're stacking over 400 rarity, all of a sudden this is getting diminished, and it doesn't show in game. But yeah, they did make sure so that if you have 1,000 rarity, I mean, I don't know if that was before or after I don't know if you guys saw the bug where somebody off-screened something with lightning arrow and it tried to calculate quantity and rarity bonus with 0 people nearby. So for some reason, it caused a buffer overflow, and it went backwards. And dude had like basically like 4 million rarity and 300 uniques dropped from a single mob. Yeah, this actually happened.
Wow. Yeah, I'd never seen that or heard of that.
Yeah, I have to find a video of that at some point. It was one of the craziest things ever. Everybody thought it was fake, but like...
I've heard about it. Haven't seen it, I've heard about it.
Then the guy made a video of it, and he's literally identifying these uniques. And there's 300 uniques on the ground. You can't bring 300 uniques in a map. It was inside of a map. So it was definitely not fake. And GG even confirmed that it's not fake. This actually happened. And most of the times that it happened, it actually caused such an overflow that it tried to generate so many items that it just froze. It made the server think that the instance was stuck in an infinite loop, and it would just crash it. It would just kick you off the game because it thought the instance was stuck in an infinite loop.
Huh. All right. So the last question or topic for Animate Weapon and casual channeling and whatnot is Animate Guardian. Somebody had brought this up to me the other day, and I didn't even think about Animate Guardian because I'm not a Minion guy. I know enough, but not enough to make it worthwhile. Do you think that Animate Guardian is worth it? And the extra bonuses that he gives and whatnot, the layer cast and whatnot.
Depends on the build.
For magic finding specifically, because I mean, the damage isn't amazing for a 6-man group. It is a little slower than like the average build. So, do you think that it needs Animate Guardian to help?
Animate Guardian is not a damage minion for the most part.
No.
What it's there for is adding extra damage, adding extra support. It is literally a support minion. I've tried to use it as a damage thing before in the past, and I never liked it as such.
A support for your Animate Weapon. That's that.
Yeah. It's basically extra auras.
Yeah, it's just there to be an aura stick. We had a few guys not trying it out for damage, but we discussed it theoretically to get him to use a dancing dervish. But guaranteeing him, no. It just doesn't work at all. It's literally impossible, and that was the only thing that would have been fun to do. But even if it would have worked, it would have been highly inefficient, even with double dipping poison. So I mean, in the end, he's just there to be an aura stick, and he's pretty much unkillable. It's insane.
I mean, there's C9Q9MD who made a video trying to make Animate Guardian like as ridiculous as possible, going as far as to put a Starforge on a Guardian, and it's still subpar. Like it still clears like ridiculously slow. There's no reason you should ever use Animate Guardian for damage.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Guardian, it's kind of competing with cast on damage taken for what would you use it instead of, and it's sort of an offensive thing, though it can also be defensive depending on the curses you're running as well, because of Dying Breath. And for the most part, pretty much every single Animate Guardian is running Dying Breath and Leercast when it comes to summoner stuff. You might also include the boots, the goat high boots.
Victorious Flight.
I think. Yeah, Victorious Flight.
Movement speed.
Yeah, they have a movement speed aura. Yeah, those are
just
nice
adding more things to make him more of an aura stick. It just provides movement speed as well as damage now. That's pretty much what that item meant.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And then some people talked about it being able to stack with other people wearing it as well. I mean, either way, it's not a very great pair of boots, but for Animate Guardian, they're abyss, and you just get Ampus Charge, Crusader Chainmail, and aura sticks on it.
Yeah, they're super insane for Animate Guardian.
Absolutely. And they also is one of the solutions, as we talked about before, for minions in general to keep their speed up. And the Victorious Flight on Animate Guardian is another 10% for no investment whatsoever. And the only thing that's going to be able to kill them is massive elemental damage and insta-giving him. But that's never going to happen. He can drop low, and having him on a set of weapons or shields allows you to weapon swap him off immediately to get rid of the risk of him dying. Because as long as you don't resummon it on an item, he's still going to wear all the items because they get saved on the gem itself.
Yeah.
Now, does he just need one link, or do you need anything else to him?
My Animate Guardian in standard is having 34,000 HP or 33,000 HP, and he's in my onset ring. Nothing else.
I generally just put Minion Life Fortify on him if I can.
Okay. Maybe I'll try it in mind to beef out a little bit more damage, and also because I do use one Venter's Gamble that's insanely rolled. The minion speed, because there's only one ring that gives minion speed. I could use the Victario, so I like that. I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah, it's just that it competes with cast on damage taken for the most part. If you're gonna fortify Minion Life it, and if you haven't invested much into Minion Life on the tree, it's kind of necessary to have those two links in order to make it survive.
Yeah, I think that once you get him up in high level and you have all the tree and you have some Minion Life extra on some of the jewels, it's fine. Yeah. But if you don't have that, then obviously you want to invest a little bit more into linking stuff to him. But that also comes down to the point of being socket starred. Do you have room for it? Is he going to be surviving? And it's not worth using him if you're in a situation where you think that he might not survive. Then you don't want to use him because that's currency being thrown for nothing.
That's why I asked if you only needed one link, because I think I got like one spare link that's even open. So. No.
And then I would do what Uber said and at least get 45 for him minimum if you don't have enough Minion Life on the tree or jewels with extra Minion Life.
I think all of Minion Life. Not all of it, but I have a decent portion.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to go ahead and transition to is Path of Building. I recently started using Path of Building maybe the end of last league. And I was a little put off by it because, it's complicated at first. But, I mean, for anybody who's ever touched it, I really highly suggest getting used to it, trying to figure it out. I mean, you can seriously fully theory craft like almost anything on there. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because they just put minion support. And I saw UberElite messing with that, I don't know, over an hour at least. I kept checking up on you to see what you were doing next. And I think one thing you're like, oh, goats are better than flame sentinels on a scaling level or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but did you find anything interesting going through all your research on that?
Well, apparently they managed to get some minion accuracy values out of this as well, and that's actually been a concern that I've really wanted to talk about for a while, but I never had like any actual values on this. And to actually see like my suspicions be confirmed about like how bad some of the minion accuracy values are, like level 20 zombies having something like 500 accuracy, is kind of disturbing. Like, I don't think that minions should ever be balanced around having a 67% accuracy in an 84 zone. I mean, that's kind of low,
Yeah.
How much damage does additional accuracy add to them?
Quite a substantial amount, enough to the point where, on my SRS build, in an 80, like, keep in mind, this is talking about an 84 zone. The amount of damage it adds in the lower zones is going to be less because, on average, mobs have less evasion in the lower zones.
Right.
But in an 84 zone, added accuracy was almost as good as added fire on my SRS build, apparently.
Interesting.
Which I don't know if that's entirely true, and especially because SRS are so fast that most of the time you don't even like really notice them missing. But for like the slower, hard-hitting things like zombies, like that's a huge problem. Also, SRS have one of the higher accuracy values. It's something like 700, 800.
Yeah, but we when they go up in level, they get increased accuracy as well. So just Radiant Spirits alone is based around having them as high level plus 3 bows and whatnot. That helps their accuracy quite a lot as well in the higher stages. Usually when it comes to the accuracy, before we got the information, people have really ruled out the accuracy to be, as long as you keep them at level 20, when you're between level 70 and 80, you're fine. And then after that, you really got to bring them up to, 24, 25 before you see that they're actually doing enough damage to be doing good clear speeds. But as you say as well, with the amount of without the amount of minions out there hitting you, you don't see it. With the zombies, especially with a little bit slower attack speed and multi-strike, you can see them headbanging, in the air towards nothing, whilst the minion is already 2 miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's especially bad. Like, again, if you're using a slow minion, like I would notice it all the time on my anime weapon build because I would always have a stone golem out, and I would see the stone golem like roll through an entire pack of mobs and it would only hit like one of them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Why? How did you only manage to hit one out of those 20 mobs that you just rolled through? And then he does a slam and it hits like 2 mobs, and I'm like, dude, do you have like negative accuracy or something? Like, what's going on here? But besides the accuracy, it's been interesting to see specter scaling. Slash miscreations are as good as are even better than I thought they were, and I already thought they were like really amazing, and the only thing holding them back was the minion speed. But like one of my friends is playing with slash miscreations right now, and they basically just completely destroy Shaper in like under a second with slash miscreations. Especially because apparently they're using the old Blade Vortex, and I believe they're supposed to have 100% damage effectiveness on added damage. I'm not entirely sure that that's true, but it's basically like having a 20-stack Blade Vortex, except it's if you have 4 Specters, except it's just minions scaling, right?
And poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, and poison, of course.
And the poison. The only cap they have is having maximum amount of 5 Blade Vortexes. But I mean, poison stacks with multiple Specters having 5 Blade Vortexes running each, and then you're fine still, so it's all good. But then again, Blade Vortex Specters is going to be very nice with the movement skill cap release removal as well. But that again puts us in the discussion we had earlier about Specters, where range Specters are better because the clear speed they provide compared to, for example, Blade Vortex Specters is just such a huge difference. But even if the Blade Vortex Specters would be better for specific boss kills, you can make the range Specters do that as well, making them overall a better build, so to say. But with the movement speed removal, I think Blade Vortex Specters might become sort of a meta build, and when it comes to Summoner Spectre builds. And I'm really looking forward to playing around with that type as well, especially in the beta, because I think that can be really fun to do, especially with the Unending Hunger Jewel.
That got a little bit of hype, like I think it was sometime last league, and then it kind of died out. Like somebody was like freaking out. They're like, "Oh, it's so good," and then it never really went anywhere. Do you guys use it now, or it doesn't really seem like you guys play Specters that much?
I don't play Specters too much because they're just the move speed cap hinders them so much. It's just like
the variety.
But you can complicate every 8 seconds.
But the variety of Spectre builds is the main problem, I think. Because I mean, I got 2 updated Spectre builds. If I make another one, it would be me copy pasting everything from one of those 2 build guides, moving them into a new one, and then change 1 or 2 things in it, and that's a new build. That's what I would do when I make a new Spectre build. I think that's why I don't play Spectre builds that much. They're stable. They're really good. You can make it low life. You can make it CI. You can make it hybrid. Do whatever the fuck you want, to be honest. But in the end, it's the same thing. There is no variety in it, and that's what I'm hoping that some Spectre changes would actually bring variety to the Spectre builds. Blade Vortex Spectres would literally grant us another version. Same thing how Knitted Horrors became one new thing together with the Flame Sentinels. And don't forget those Fireball Throwers as well. Works really well. But then again, they're all the same thing, same support gems, same setups, and then it's all a matter of taste, what type of movement skill you want to use, and then it comes down to those 5 or 6, maybe 10 skill points on skill tree that you're moving to either more HP or defense or extra jewel slots. And then if you want to use 1 or 2 Unending Hunger jewels or 0, that's the questions you want to answer. And then you can take any Spectre build and use that for the one you want to play, and you'll have a good build for it.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that came up that I still need to look at, because this wasn't in POB when I was looking at it, was I really wanted to look at the Goatman Fire Razors, because the numbers for that weren't in Path of Building when I looked at it, and those were Specters that I heard were pretty good because they use Magma Orb, and I wanted to see how they are. I never got a chance to try them myself in game, but I did try some Specters this league because I hadn't played Specters in a while, and I could see them being pretty good. I just haven't gotten the chance to try them.
What kind of DPS numbers are you seeing with Path of Building for like Specters and SRS and stuff like that?
Oh God!
What is the theoretical DPS that they say that they're doing? Is it like stupid numbers, like millions, or is it like?
Oh no! Well, SRS is per skull, right? So
okay.
I've seen some numbers on some low life builds get to like, you know, like 300,000 per skull or something, 350,000. So that's like
Wow.
what, 7 million without wither
Yeah.
or anything with the poison scaling.
pretty
But oh god, if we go into the blade vortex specters, the highest theoretical was with my friend's build who's using umbilicus, so they're going all out. If you add in like a Sin's Rebirth to that, or well, basically act as if Vis Mortis is always up, because right now it doesn't act as if Vis Mortis is up. But you could get to like on non-bosses, you could get to like 160 million DPS, which is kind of insane. And even on Shaper, I think I calculated something like 64 million DPS maximum on Blade Vortex with four Blade Vortex Specters. And I can't remember if that was with Umbilicus or not, but I just know that Umbilicus basically doubled the damage of when you added Flask to it. And zombie damage is
they're fucking brutal, man.
It's sad.
Good
it's a
or
sad
bad?
Story. We don't talk about
they're
that.
insanely damaged. Like we talked about before when it comes to zombies. Zombies don't need damage. We don't need damage in those. And and it's also something when it comes to damage of minions. Everyone's screaming, Unite and Dream. Oh, you gotta use Envy. It's so good. But if you do the calculation, Hatred is better for zombies than Envy is, because of the massive amount of damage they're doing. They're not fast attacking minions like SOS or enemy weapon, for example. So still using Hatred is better, which means you can just settle with a 7 in sleep, which is half the cost anyways. So I mean, there's a lot of extra ways you can do it, but zombies do so much damage. It's insane.
Is the Hatred being better? Is that taking into account minion resistances? Because it's not like you have any kind of penetration. So is that damage really that much more effective than pure chaos?
It's a huge difference for zombies.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, yeah, if they're doing 500k and you get a large portion of that, yeah, I can see that it doesn't really matter. You're getting such a large number.
And then not to take into consideration that if you're doing boss kills, then generally you want to use something like scales that even further. So I mean, you have other ways of scaling that as well. But ultimately, it's Envy's more for the same thing why we're using added chaos as a support gem for the enemy weapons instead of minion damage, which is a more damage multiplier. It's because the added chaos is giving us a flat number with that many hits, which scales from the chaos and minion damage and all these things as well.
And the wither.
Yeah.
At first, I was using enemy minion damage because I'm just like, this is a more multiplier. Clearly, it's going to be better. And one of the runners, it was kind of slow in the beginning when I was first like, I didn't really look at any guides. I just was figuring all this shit out, and I didn't know path of building. Path of building wasn't out yet, so I couldn't theorize anything. It was just by feel. And the guy was like, you should try added chaos. It'll probably be better. So I went and grabbed the 2021 and put it in, and I'm like, oh my god, what the hell? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Night and day.
I mean, if you think about
absolutely.
it, all the added damage, for every single weapon, they're getting like 200 cast per weapon, scales with wither and poison and all the fun stuff. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so next topic that we have on the list here is essence of fear crafting. Now, I'd separated this because I feel like it's massive, and I feel like probably not enough people, judging by how expensive or how cheap they are, I don't think enough people use them because they're like less than a chaos a piece for screamings, and I don't even feel like it's worth, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like it's really even worth using deafenings at all. It's like a couple percentage. Like, I just feel like it's cheaper just to either use shriekings at 1-to-1 chaos or screamings just scour scream. That's what I was doing. What do you guys think?
I personally like to use the second highest tier, the tier shrieking, not
Yep.
just for a fear, but also for the number. You won't notice the difference between a deafening and a shrieking, but also for crafting profitable items and whatnot, like the anger crafts and stuff like that. Is generally not worth it. The cost between tier 2 and a tier 1 is just too much. You don't really benefit that much for it. It's not worth the investment. But then again, I think the essences of fear are cheap because of, as we mentioned earlier, the amount of players that wants to play summoners. Want to play summoners, don't play summoners because of fundamental issues that GGG are pretty much never attending to properly. And if those things were fixed, the amount of players playing summoners would be more, vastly more players would be playing it. Not just specters, but any type of summoner builds, depending on what actually gets fixed. And that would make Essences of Fear.
My casual ass would actually probably play more summoners. No joke.
Yeah, but that is the reason, and a lot of people are screaming for it. I mean, Reddit is a perfect example of that. How every month, sometimes every 2 months, there's one Reddit post. It's a new guy every time. One Reddit post comes out with, "Oh, I want to play this game, but there's so many problems with Summoner, so I'm not playing Summoner because of this and this." And it gets several hundred upvotes. It's on the front page for at least a day, and then it just gets smacked up with comments. Everyone bitching about how much they want things to be changed. Then it disappears, nothing happens. A month, 1.5, 2 months later, another post from a new guy. Pretty much the same thing, just other words to it. That's how it goes. Every month, one post about this. And if they just fix it, there would be a lot more players playing it. And that would also make a huge impact on the essence of Fair, and people would actually use it. But, for us players that actually bother summoners, despite these issues, for us it's good that it's cheap, of course, but that is the reason why it's so easily accessible right now.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like the I really like the Essence of Fear, but I do worry that it's the only way to get minion move speed on your gear, right? Other than wearing specific uniques.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why it's so accessible. But
do you not like that? Do you not? I mean, Essence is, since it's part of the core game now, it kind of makes sense to only have essences able to craft with that, not just have it as a suffix or prefix.
Yeah, but having that, I just want there to be more ways to get minion move speed. If summoners are suddenly meta, then all of a sudden those essences are gonna go through the roof, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of concerning. If you need that minion move speed before your minions are before the build even feels good, it's kind of bad that's the only way to get it, unless somehow you find another way to get minion move speed. And that is kind of a concern for me. It hasn't become an issue yet, and doesn't look like it's going to be an issue anytime soon, but it's a possible thing that could pop up.
Do either one of you use the essence for anything but movement speed?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
because it does so much, but I mean, it's the only thing I've ever heard anybody say about Fear is use it for movement speed. I've never heard anybody use it for the damage or for the life.
Well, there are two ways. I've used it once for not using it. Like the minion life, people don't care about minion life. You don't want to use your gear for that. I mean, Katarina Craft, you go.
No.
There is, but it's in my opinion, I don't feel that it's worth it. I mean, if you go for the glove craft, you go minion damage. You don't care about minion life. It's not really needed in the higher stage of the game. You cover that yourself through the skill tree itself. And when it comes to the, like you said as well, Uber before, as long as we can get more damage, that's what we want to get. And then movement speed is the fundamental issue. So sorting the movement speed, and the next step after that in your priority list would be to sort the damage. And Essence of Fear, the only time I'd use it outside it would be a low-budget version of a CWC animate weapon build, where I don't want to use an Arombarax weapon because I might have intentions of equipping a United in Dream or a Severed in Sleep. And the easiest way to transition from whatever weapon I'm using to that without changing all my other gear pieces is to use a weapon that doesn't give me resistances, like an Arombarax granting 50 to 60 all resistance. Then I'd rather use an Essence of Fear to get myself some minion damage on a dagger or something that allows me to use Whirling Blades, and have that as a step, one step before going into the United, where I can just purchase the weapon, equip it, and I'm done. I don't have to change all my other gear pieces because I'm suddenly lacking resistances. That will be the only time I use the Essence of Fear outside the movement speed.
Yeah, I mean, you already have Severed in Sleep and United in Dream, which basically are your one-handed option. All your one-handed options now. Why would you ever use a one-handed Essence unless it's just budget over a Severed in Sleep? If you want minion damage in that slot. But
how budget, when Severed in Sleep is 15 to 20 cast, how budget are we talking here?
Yeah.
It's so cheap right now. It's stupid.
Yeah. Is it really that cheap?
It's 15 to 20 cast in softcore.
Holy crap.
That's for
we got a weapon and we're like, yeah. Then we looked at the price. We're like, what? It doesn't even refund a fifth of the cost of this run.
Hey, but to be honest, though, Breach hasn't been implemented, correct?
No, it's still only obtainable via the stones.
So we still have no idea what that price might reflect in the future. So
get
it while it's cheap.
It's not even guaranteed that it's going to be in the game. They said that if they decide to, they'll be, told later on.
But then again, it also depends on the leagues. Hardcore has a much healthier trading environment than the softcore. In softcore, you profit from Matsuri to Ubertsuri the first 2 weeks, and then everything dies. And after that, you can only flip currency or craft very high-end items or run breaches. The biggest things, or UberLab farming.
What about? I was gonna say, what about lab, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Then you have lab.
Of
course, lab persists through the time due to the vast amount of different roles you can have. But then again, in hardcore, you can spam a few chaos on a ring. If you get a lot of resistances, it's going to be worth a lot of currency just for that. And that doesn't exist in softcore because people don't care about resistances there. Because dying is just 10% experience that you make back in 2 runs, depending on the level. But then again, Severed in Sleep and United in Dream, all these things are much more expensive in hardcore, where the process of achieving such an item is a risky scenario, so less people are doing it. The Uber series also some really big step there. There's at least a handful of people in hardcore that actually literally farms it, even less people that does services. I know Cicerone does services on it at the moment in hardcore. In softcore, I mean, there's an Uber series farm around the corner. It doesn't matter where you go, and you can do it with a tabula rasa. So because it's okay to die.
Yeah, I mean, on my first 100 animate weapon character in Essence League, I actually, since Severed in Sleep and stuff didn't exist, I actually used it on a bow and then used Katarina to guarantee +1 gems on it and put my animate weapon in that.
Nice.
And that was actually pretty nice. But there's not really too much reason to do that anymore. The only other reason to use Essence of Fear is for the suicide mirror error builds with minion instability.
Okay.
That basically ignite, and it's kind of like a meme build at this point because you can't really get that explosion big enough. For one, for two, you can't get the ignite too big, or you can't get the ignite chance to 100%. So oftentimes, like especially on bosses, you have problems with single target until you ignite, and then once you ignite, yeah, that thing is taking a crap load of damage, but you have to get it to the point where you actually do ignite for that damage to happen. But that's the only other use for it, and it's really hard to craft the gear for that, but you do get a ton of minion life from that.
Yeah, I've had some crazy experience crafting with the Essences of Fear. It's so easy to make money right now. It's so easy.
So one thing that I wanted to ask you guys, so we kind of know what you guys do with Essence of Fear and how y'all are using them. So really, you can only craft the movement speed. Well, I doubt y'all are doing it on quivers, but the rings and the amulet. What kind of rings, what kind of amulet are you guys favoring over this? Are the unset rings, or marble amulet, for example? Not that y'all are using that, but
that depends on league and build again. I mean, if you do a low life build, then unset rings will be the to-go choice to smack up some more socket space for you. If you're playing hardcore, then 2-stone rings. If you're not socket starved. In softcore, whatever, doesn't matter. Gold rings. I mean, that's how I see it, at least.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, it's been mostly unset rings for me at this point. I actually have used it on a quiver a few times before I ended up somehow managing to get a Legacy Soul Strike and solo self-found. But
I saw you open that. You were so excited.
Dude, I can't believe that actually happened. That's not even fair.
I just found one as my 25th key.
Yeah, those things are really, really good.
They're good, yeah.
But
was
yeah,
yours nicely rolled?
Rings.
I don't remember.
What?
Was it nicely rolled? Yours that you got?
I think the dex is 30. I can't remember what the dex range is. 25 to 35. So I think it's like a mid roll.
Well, the ES is all that matters, right?
The ES is like the ES range isn't that big. It doesn't really matter
20.
too much.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah. For the most part, and before I was like playing CI, I usually put it on like a Citrine amulet, since summoners are generally up in the int area. They kind of need strength and dex both in order to run their gems. In particular, dex because of haste or Val haste, or both really. But now I'm just running an Eye of Chila since I finally found that.
Now, I tend to settle with Jade Amulets because you need so much dexterity on most summoner builds. I try to get all dexterity on the amulet if I can, and then I'd rather go with the rolls I need on a strength belt instead, because that's usually enough. Especially if I go life-based as well. Then I'd rather get all the dexterity on the amulet. Then I can get a Jade Amulet with the dexterity roll and the resistances, and then get the rest on the belts. Because there will always be too many builds on the market anyways, and making it much easier for me to get the stats I need with the resistance rolls. At least from my opinion.
Especially if you're doing a strongman summoner. Although I guess at the same point you would probably want to do a citrine so you still get the strength as well. Like if you're doing strongman, you're probably deep into the strength areas and stuff. Yeah. So you're probably not doing too much. You probably don't have too much intelligence and dexterity. So.
I mean, would you just use an Astromentus to cover everything? I know that's like a common go-to for those kind of builds. I don't like it personally. I prefer a rare, but it would cover everything. I
prefer rares for sure, but Astromentus is like a decent temporary, but I really don't like going to it for a lot of things.
A lot of people use it for
you lose out on the resistance rolls and other potential stats that you might want to have depending on the defensive choices as well. If you go life-based, then sure, I mean, but then again, a rare amulet will always be better for summoners than Astromentus. But when you go with strongman, you have to balance out that strength as much as possible. You can't use too many brawn jewels, because I mean, eventually you're going to need 159 intelligence to cover level 21 zombies. If you don't have that, you're going to have a bad time.
And then suddenly you're at 60% reduced intelligence, and you actually need 400 instead of
exactly 55. And then you sit there with your 1,000 strength and your Superman powers, but you don't have any zombies because you're not smart enough to use them.
You're just the Hulk.
That's all I'm super strong, but I can only use a level 1 SRS. Is that okay?
Exactly.
Is that okay?
Best accuracy rating in the game as well.
Oh, that's good. God.
All right. So anything else about Essence of Fear crafting, or do we want to move to the community section? Community question section?
Well, I feel good.
All right, cool. All right, guys. We're going to move on to the community questions section. This is your chance to ask any of us questions. It can be, try to relate it to the topic of minions, and it doesn't have to be. This is more for you guys to ask whatever you guys have wanted to ask. I've posted in the channel a couple times the Reddit post that we're using to track the questions. It's just a lot easier when there's a lot of people talking to have your question posted there, and it just helps a lot to have everything organized and have a central place to post, the questions. So I'll post the link one more time, and go there now. And I think I've seen definitely a couple posts, so I want to get right into that. We'll ask the first question. Let's see here. So Ghazzy,
why does TPG always look into the air like he's looking at God or something? Is Chris Wilson up there?
Chris is looking down on me. Nah, so I have a third monitor that's wall mounted. So anytime I'm glancing up is I'm looking up at either the third monitor, or I'm trying my best to look at the camera, which is on top of my monitor, so it does look like I'm looking up and off into the distance. Or my OBS is on this main monitor, and I see our webcam, so I'm kind of looking at either the TheUberElite or Ghazzy, and it's kind of like up in the same spot of the webcam, so it all works out.
I thought you were praying to the RNGesus or something.
Oh, I don't need to. He's definitely in my favor. I've had the most RNG in this league possible. I can't, anyways. Ghazzy, yes. Are you going to place zombies and skeletons in the beta for 3.0?
Yes and no. Is that a good answer?
I don't know if you guys. I'll say who the name is just in case you might know who they are. M Rowan 70. I don't know if they use the same.
Mr. Owen.
Oh, Mr. Owen. Oh, look at that, Mr. Owen. I'm an idiot.
Mr.
Anyways.
Owen.
Well, if the O was capitalized, it'd be okay. So I'm not an idiot. Anyways.
Yeah.
Carry on.
No, so I'll probably be playing using zombies in most likely all summoner builds I'll be playing, and in all of the versions they will be meat shields.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be their job, right?
I am not gonna use the zombies, so I will be using skeletal mages. Will probably be my first focus, and then blade vortex specters, or the other way around. Those will be my two main to go-to choices to test around in the beta with, and then obviously, I mean, with all the new shit, we're gonna have to try out the new minions as well.
Oh, I can't.
So we'll see where we land, of course.
I can't wait for the beta. Are you guys excited?
Of course.
Yeah.
of
What do you
course.
think? Like 2 weeks? 1 week? You think we're close? I feel like we're really close.
I think it's
They're already
at
doing
least 2 or 3
spoilers a
weeks.
little bit, right?
I think it's like 3 weeks. at
Ah,
I
least.
feel
so
like they're
far away.
slowly pushing it away and further.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's a little weird because it's the beta. Like, shit's supposed to be kind of a little raw, right? Like, I guess unfinished compared to, I don't know. It's fine either way. I want them to release a good product.
I mean, the last beta there was a lot of pretty raw stuff. I mean,
Was there?
There's so many jewels that were in that beta that didn't actually end up getting released and stuff.
Yeah.
Really? That'll be sad
Yeah.
if I actually start playing. I feel like I'll
God.
get the beta, but like, I
Reminds
love
me of
this. It's so good.
I just hope that they're not gonna do the same thing they did with the beta access like they did last time. That's my only concern. I think a lot of other streamers and content creators agrees, and other players as well.
Yeah.
But they've already approved to give out betas to supporter pack purchases. So I think that they'll actually learn from their past mistakes. But to be more on topic, I think that skeleton mages and flavor vortex specters, without knowing what's going to come in the new acts, will be the to-go choice from my point of view, at least.
So Temel asked about Severed in Sleep and United in Dream, talking about in 3.0 when double dipping is removed. I think we already answered that kind of question. Will minions still do competitive damage? Probably, right? I mean,
yeah.
I
mean, there's a lot of like SRS builds with pure elemental damage are doing well. Not pure elemental. They obviously still have a 50% physical, but there's a lot of elemental scaling involved, and they still do amazing damage. The one thing that about United in Dream that I just realized I like never went into is like the whole leech thing. The fact that they're still gonna leech like if you're using a United in Dream and you just simply poison like the mob's poison, suddenly you actually have 5% leech, and that's a lot of leech after the whole like leech changes and stuff. And ever since the leech changes and stuff that affected players, that also affected minions. Like that 0.2% of damage leeches life. How much is it? Let me check. Oh, it's 0.6%. That used to be like 3%. And like when do you need your minions to survive? It's actually on single target. So that 5% leech on United in Dream by itself is still going to make it like a really good item. Not to mention the fact that it already has the only source of a chaos damage aura on a sword or on anything really, and minion damage and all that. So, is United in Dream going to be bad? No. Are minions going to be bad? No.
I agree.
No, I
Oh,
completely agree
Devin
with this as well.
Ace has a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Let me try to pick one. So we covered minion accuracy. Now, the one question that I did see is, he said, "Do we have the numbers on minion accuracy?" Somebody had mentioned in the chat. I remember as I was scrolling through that he can't find out where the accuracy numbers were derived from. Do you happen to know off the top of your head?
I believe he's using a Python script to export it from the PoE files.
Okay.
It's something like PYPoE or something. We don't know that it's 100% accurate. So, but based off of what I've experienced with zombies and stone golems in particular,
it's probably
like they seem pretty accurate
Okay.
for zombies and stone golems. I'm not entirely sure about the SRS stuff, but it's very hard to tell with those because of how sporadic they are. They like just jump all. You try to summon one and watch what it does, and it just jumps all over the place. It jumps from mob to mob, and you can't tell if it's actually attacked and just missed or not. So
yeah, exactly.
Then the next portion was, what do you guys think about having the Baron also apply your dex to your minions for accuracy? It's interesting. I like that.
I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's going to change much for the minions themselves, but it would be a nice accuracy addition. I think that they might as well do it, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. The accuracy is a baseline issue, and it shouldn't be solved with a unique.
Okay.
Yeah, it should
I
not
agree
be.
with that, yeah.
The accuracy should not be ever solved with a unique. Having to run something like Lacassidae, Necromantic Aegis, having that be like a baseline requirement would be really kind of stupid, honestly. There should be a more elegant solution, and I kind of talked about why they can't just simply put the accuracy on these minions all of a sudden like all the way up, because there are mobs in the game that use these same skills, and all of a sudden, if you suddenly give these zombies like 5,000 accuracy, if you give the SRS 5,000 accuracy, what does an evasion build do when the fire boss from beyond shows up and summons like 20 SRS that take forever to kill?
Or like the titty bitches.
Oh god. Same thing with like the
oh god.
It's a problem with us sharing some of the same values that the mobs do. So there has to be some sort of more elegant solution, like
Moppy
putting accuracy on the raised specter gem, putting minion accuracy on the tree somewhere.
That's what he just said. Yeah, minion accuracy nodes on the tree, flat accuracy nodes.
Because that amount of accuracy, if you have like 400 accuracy while you're leveling, that's kind of fine. Like, I mean, that's probably like what, 80%, 85%, but it starts becoming an issue in the later game, because even with like a level 26 gem, it doesn't scale that high.
Actually, how about removing their useless 5% baseline crit with their baseline 130 crit multiplier, and just give them RT and
Resolute technique?
Or that.
I would.
Yeah, problem solved.
Yeah, exactly. I like it.
But then we can't.
About crits anyways.
But then we can't use Victoria's Charity for the 200% crit per power charge and stuff, because they get the same bonuses as mobs from charges.
Yeah.
Right?
But then again, 600% increased crit strike chance on
1.3 crit multi.
Yeah, 1.3 crit multi with 5% baseline crit chance. I mean, yeah, I think I'd rather take the RT, man.
Yeah, the frenzy charges are way better than the power charges.
That's why we're using Necro.
Especially because the frenzy charges also give move speed for minions.
Yeah. I mean, it would be fun to see crit-based minions, though. Like,
it really would.
That's why I wanted to see like a Necronomicon with a newer variety of specters being available for us through category or something. That would be really nice to see. That we actually could take minions that has a crit chance, or we could scale crit down limits. That would be hilarious.
All right, one of the questions we have, I feel like is I want to. I almost didn't ask it because I feel like I have the answer for it, but I actually would rather see your guys' opinion. Do you feel like minion speed support would see use if it had more multipliers instead of increased on it? So I think they're talking about like the Essence of Fear, so it had a more multiplier to their speed rather than their increased.
It would definitely be one of those situations where it would be mandatory for certain builds like skeletons and zombies.
I feel like the increase is noticeable. No, I noticed the minion speed when I have it on both rings and amulet. It's insane, right? Like I notice it.
Yeah.
If you use Queen's Decree, your minions are like flying all over the place. Like,
oh yeah,
that's increased. That's all. That's all increased. So
yeah, we don't need to be more.
I feel like it's fine, right?
Maybe up the values, but not change it to more. I think that would be.
I think
that would put us in.
I think what he's referring to more than the actual movement speed is the fact that it has attack and cast speed on it itself, and if those were more,
I think he might be referring to the gem itself, minion speed support.
Yeah, minion speed support has attack and cast speed on it.
I was thinking he was thinking of a more multiplier on the gem specifically, not what I was thinking essence was for some reason because we just got off of essences.
Oh yeah, if the essences are more, that'd be ridiculous.
If the jewel or if the gem was a more multiplier, I still think that would be more OP.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially equipping yourself with a Queen's Escape by having a support gem, and I mean it's actually more. So I mean I think it's fine the way it is. My solution or my idea around it would be to fix the baseline issue, to not require 3 jewelries crafted plus a support gem plus necromantic ages. I mean, come on. Somewhere along the line, they need to understand that they can't force an entire genre of builds to use, a million of uniques and a million of different types of essence crafting to make the build itself viable to even, to a small extent. Because even if you solve the issues, it's not even close to a tier 3, 4, or tier 4 build in some situations, or especially specifically referring to the zombie builds right now. And honestly, I mean, fix the baseline issues.
It's like all of a sudden you're wearing 4 uniques and you're like, all right, we've got all these uniques. Our damage looks great. Now I have 3 spots for ES. What the hell am I going to do? How do I get over 5,000?
How about going to those mirror services? Can step away from the low budget approach though.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I see is the Labyrinth and Minions are best friends right now.
Sarcasm.
How do you think... Okay, I was gonna say.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that. actually.
Animate weapon says hi.
Right, anime weapon is what
Yeah.
I think he's more referring to. SRS is probably a fine, you know, but anime weapon.
Yeah.
How do you think
Do you
GGG?
think-
Yeah.
Yeah, do
sorry.
you think
Carry on with
GGG
your
will be able to address any of those problems with that?
They did address it. They at least added a stash to it. I mean,
Yeah.
It's so bad.
That's
oh
the
god,
solution.
I was so scared. I was so scared when I saw lab. I'm like, please tell me you're at least gonna have a stash in there or something, because, like, and I did plenty of lab runs on animate weapon before, and I was able to do it. It's just a pain in the ass because it takes forever, and even then for other minion builds, like there are issues like SRS jumping all over the place. If you want to, you don't key farm with SRS. You
Right.
can't key farm with SRS
Can't
because
control
like
them
you
enough.
get portals and
All your
oh yeah,
portals are
you wanted to
gone.
stack your 20 SRS on a Zoro. Yeah, right. 5 of them are going to go over to the portal and kill it.
Yeah, I mean, I brought my when it was released, I brought my SRS character in standard. Quick note for those who don't know, that character was previously the best geared SRS character in the entire game. It's worth about 4,500 exaltas when I went in there, and I couldn't even handle 3 keys on Uber tier with it. Sorry, Uber Star with it. It just didn't work. Because of the way the AI works, it's just impossible to do with proper design for the Uber Star kill. It's manageable to some degree, but as soon as you add keys to it, depending on the day, of course, with the buffs you get, it's impossible. Even with massive gearing, it's incredible. But then again, minions don't die to the traps, so we're kind of fine at that end. But key runs, not even with evangelists trying to cover you the best they can.
Yeah, and I mean, you get to the point where sometimes you just have too much damage, and then, like, you have to come up with a strategy to prevent your minions from dealing damage in the first place, and that also is really hard. So, I mean, key farming on minion builds is just, it's really not that great of an idea.
I had an idea to kind of solve the issue, and I'll run it by you guys out of curiosity. To solve the issues of lab, shaper, and any other phase type boss. Desecrate summons also weapons.
A lot of
That's
people
nice,
have suggested that, and I mean, I think it's alright.
It's on charges, so you know, and you have the weapons expire even, just so you can't like stack a billion of them and then summon them all.
Maybe like a skill that just does it instead of making Desecrate.
No, because then you have to have Desecrate for Flesh Offering and a skill for summoning your weapons and 15 other thousand buttons.
Well, you can still animate off the ground.
Add weapons to Desecrate. I
just
don't
feel like
know.
it's
What do you guys
too
think about
much of a
that?
quality
Do
of
you think
life.
that'd be good, bad, other?
I like the idea of it as long as you make sure that they're not, you can't pick them up, so they're only available to be animated.
You can't just farm 83 bases and
They're
Shaper
weapon
Zone.
corpses. That's all it would be. Weapon corpses.
Yeah, like weapon corpses would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's a cool idea, to be honest. Like non-pick up lootable weapons. Sorry?
Or just be able to create a weapon out of a corpse, even. Like,
Yeah, sure.
Just some standard, like...
Their arm bone becomes a freaking club.
Shank or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter, like...
style, boys.
It just starts ripping their fucking arms off and animating them, and they got legs, limbs. That's so good. I love that idea.
PG-13 though. Isn't the game PG-13?
No, it's not rated. It's not rated at all. There's titty bitches.
Oh right, that's true. That's true.
Come on.
6 nipple Siri.
Now I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know if you can have
Man, Siri has
unrated
4
on
boobs,
X-Bone.
like right out there. Like, come on.
4? Isn't it 6?
Have you
no,
not
it's
noticed
4.
the statue in
It's
Act
4.
3?
Trust me, I've taken.
Yeah, the statues for 3.0 also have boobies.
No,
Yeah.
I like that they're bringing the girls back.
They also have penises.
I was
so-
talking about the
What?
statue with the big bloody dick, just flopping
Oh.
around as he comes in and fights you.
Uber, you're right. It's only 4 titties. With like the tiniest bra ever.
Hey, there are statues
Hashtag.
with very visible penises in the game too.
Yeah.
So
That is
Yes,
true.
it's
That is
definitely not PG-13.
it's
true. Are they
definitely
as,
not.
Not-
Are they as
No, it's
visible
artistic.
as,
Please, come on. It's
Oh, that's
artistic
true.
nudity.
Right.
That's true.
But are they as
Come on.
visible as the penises in Conan Exiles, though? That is the question.
Oh god. Oh my god. You just crouch and it just sticks straight down. Like what? That doesn't work that way. Good question here. I think I really like this one because it frustrates the piss out of me. Should offerings overwrite the current offering on your minions and yourself when you're a necro? I think you should add to the duration.
Yes.
Every corpse
No.
you consume should just add to the duration. It's so fucking frustrating when you have like a 10 minion desecrate, or 10 minion flesh offering, and then you flesh offering 1 corpse, and you go from 20-second to a 10 or whatever. I don't know. It's
I
a personal
mean,
pet peeve.
I mean,
of
if you
mine.
got it to stack the duration, that would be like ridiculous. Because like
Really,
all of
would
a
it though?
sudden you explode 100 minions, and then all of a sudden you're permanently flesh offering for the rest of the map.
Good.
That,
You have to
that's-
kill 100 mobs to get it. I guess you could
I
desecrate
mean,
the
that's
whole
like
beginning
pseudo
of the map.
snapshotting. You know, that feels like,
Yeah.
before you go into a boss, you go back to the room, you kill a lot of monsters, flesh offering everything, then you can smoothly do it. I mean, one of the funniest things about playing builds like Summoners, and to some degree ED Contagion as well, is that it's more interactive than going into a fight, hold
There's a
down the
lot
right
to
click,
it.
and then watch things die. Summoners are interactive. I don't want to remove the actual play style summoners. Summoners requires
Okay.
you to
That's a good.
think
That's a good
what
point.
you're doing. It requires skills
Yeah.
to play summoners, without being all too high here. I think that summoners do require skills to be played because of the amount of things that you have to do, and I think that automating yourself by having a duration stacking flesh offering removes part of what makes summoners, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think about just not overriding a larger buff? So if you have like a
that
16
would be
second
also
kit.
nice.
Okay.
That would be
If you-
quality
if
of
you-
life.
We'll meet in the middle.
If you don't overwrite the, like, if you have like a 16-second one already going, and you overwrite it with like a 4-second one. that
Yeah,
would-
you
that
accidentally
kinda- that's
hit.
kinda
You
annoying.
one tap a corpse. You only get one corpse in that one. Like when I have full weapons up and there's anybody that has an aura on, sometimes it lags a little bit, and my guy ends up like corpse explosioning or flesh corpsing twice,
Yeah.
and then or flesh offering. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you can always pick
Can
them.
you imagine how much if it's stacked? Like, imagine leaving a breach. All of a sudden, like, you can go AFK, go get a drink. Well, obviously you can't do that because you'll die. But you
Yeah.
could like go AFK, get a drink, like go out, buy some food or something, come back, and your flesh offering's still gonna be up by the time you come back from it after you've exploded all those corpses in that breach. Like,
Actually, I came to think about something reading the Twitch chat as well. We talked about quality of life things at GGG. And I really want to mention that, and that's the aggro. I mean, the amount of defensive gains availability Summoners has is really limited. And then GGG said, oh, Summoners are too AFK-ish. They're just standing there whilst their minions are doing anything, taking all the aggro. So they made enemies more likely, or a little bit more likely to go for you. I mean, wow.
Ghazzy, remember Grim Dawn?
Yeah.
He would do anything, and every minion would attack you.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, if you didn't play in the beginning, they did change it eventually, where it was more like PoE. In the very, very beginning, the moment you cursed a frailty, anything, they automatically all ran to you. It was like the biggest aggro. You were essentially taunting everything, and they would ignore minions completely. Minions couldn't stack. It was god awful, but that's a different issue. So sorry.
But that's also.
And it also brings up.
Go ahead.
It also brings up the minion speed thing, because like if things are aggroing to you instead of the minions, those minions have to catch up each time they want to hit. So like the minion move speed becomes a big deal. And that's
but also something you said earlier. Or something you said earlier as well, Uber, about the spell totem skeleton being one of the most preferred ways of doing it. What it does, it's not just confusing bosses or whatnot. It actually generates a fresh state of aggro with newly spawned minions that are, new enemies on the table for the bosses or enemies to hit, which actually seems to have a tendency of generating more aggro than you have as a summoner, which pretty much forces enemies to go for them, even if you're not playing a summoner build. Having spell totem skeletons is great, and it's usually in many situations better than decoy totem, because it generates more aggro and making enemies hit the skeletons. Even if they get one or two shotted, you'll still be safer because they're not going for you that much.
Yeah, but at the same point, it also was a problem when people started like running chain maps and stuff, because like you'd have like there was one video of a dude that was playing Blade Vortex, and they put Val Summon Skeletons on top, and they got one shot by the Precinct boss back when it was the Lightning Strike Whipper, because all the projectiles chained off the skeletons onto him, and he just got one shot from like 10,000 ES. But yeah, it also causes a thing where if the boss does decide to target you for some reason, the amount of skeletons you can have can create such a wall that instead it just can't find a viable way to pathfind to you, and it ends up like walking away because it can't find a way to path to you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Red Pyramid, I'm to address your question. We did talk about this during the podcast, so there will be a VOD of this afterwards. I'm going to upload it as soon as we end here, and you'll be able to check that out. I do timestamp every video, so you should be able to find it fairly easy. It was within the Minion news from 3.0 release. But we do have, what do you guys think? 2 more questions? Yes?
Yeah,
yeah.
you guys.
Cool. All right, so
I'm down with whatever, yeah.
I don't know how long we are up right now, but our podcasts are supposed to only be 1 to an hour and a half, and it's like 2+ every time. But so I mean, it's good because like
30. So
I feel like we're I don't know,
top that right now.
When we're passionate about a subject and we just can ramble about it all day long, as long as it's good content, I feel like fuck, we'll go 4 hours. Not really, but yeah, you know, like time isn't really at that point.
As long as you have timestamps.
Yeah, I will definitely.
Exactly.
I needed timestamp last week's video. I've been so fucking busy. But anyways, so the another question we have is, essentially, have you guys ever messed with the Essence of Insanity, the Spectral Wolves on weapons?
I've messed with. I don't see their. Oh, the Essence of Insanity, the Spectral Skulls. I was thinking the Spectral Wolves from like Scourge.
Oh right, so I guess I was reading one of the. Spectral Spirits. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Essentially SRS, but not really.
I tried messing with them a little bit. They're pretty alright. They can help with anime weapon. It can if United in Dream wasn't so good,
yeah,
you would probably use it on an animate weapon build, because it does make it so you don't have to have weapons at the start of a map in order to start it. And I know somebody else used to do that, but United in Dream is just better.
I find my stone golem does enough damage where sometimes I can just start a map with a stone golem and have him punch something or do a ground slam. I just
it's like, and after it misses 5 times, suddenly you have weapons.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll forget to pull weapons and I'm like, I don't want to go back out, so I'll just have the golem do something. Sometimes it's AIDS, and other times it's okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel that Essence of Insanity is also very, very expensive because more or less all the other mods are actually, the 500 times better than the weapon craft weapons.
Yeah.
Another one I think is a good question is from the same person, Wizard. What are you guys' opinions on the Primordial Mites? Essentially, your golems are more aggressive. Do you guys feel like that should have just been a straight-up addition to the golems, or do you think that it's a good idea to have it as a jewel?
I like it. I like it as a jewel because golems were one of those things that were implemented that are better for non-summoners than they were for summoners. And now with the use of a jewel, you can make the golems, which are fundamentally supposed to be a stat provider or a bonus buff provider, extra life regen, extra fist damage mitigation, extra damage, extra attack speed, and these things. Having the Primordial Might making them an offensive minion is okay by my count at least. But it should not be something that is going to be needed for the other minions. But for golems, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, there are also situations where you don't want the jewel in the first place. Like if you can't kill a cannot die totem, because the way it works is it basically, whenever you target something, your minions follow. And one of the things it does is it makes that like the AOE around whatever you targeted, like the things that it can target, that AOE is like way bigger, so it can target way more things. And that makes them able to acquire targets more easily. But that's also a problem. If you want to kill like a cannot die totem in the middle of a whole bunch of stuff, and they're just off aggroing on whatever else, you can't reset that. You actually have to like remove the jewel and then purposely tell them to, hey, you need to attack this thing, not whatever minion you're attacking one screen away. But the one thing I don't like about it is that it's super rare. It's ridiculously rare.
I found one.
Right.
I've not found one ever so far.
I
found the other jewels, but the golems are aggressive one is like ridiculously rare, and you need 2 of them because you want the anima stone. Because you have to vendor all 3 of them to get an anima stone. So it's super rare, and you need it twice.
Yeah. So, no, I think it's gated too hard. Yep. Absolutely.
It shouldn't be tier 1. I'm pretty sure it's tier 1. It shouldn't be.
No, it is. It is.
It's like the same rarity as shavs and combs and stuff.
Yeah, I've gotten like 6. Well, actually, I've probably gotten like 10 of the Viridian. Those are like the most common. Then I've gotten like
the Viridians and Cobalts are pretty
I think
common.
3 Cobalt, but only 1 Might.
Yeah, and that's stupid.
Sold for
I don't like
3x.
Like the jewel itself is fine. The drop rate is different.
Yeah.
Well, that's also for another topic, to be honest. But ultimately, I agree with you, Uber. Absolutely, it's gated too hard, especially when it comes to the point where you need two to make a build viable. But that's also coming into the category of a lot of things that are being implemented in the game are better for non-summoners than they are for the summoner genre. And I think that's really sad. And GGG are showing this over and over and over again. And we're trying to do everything we can to get attention to it, and nothing's happening, despite the Reddit post every 1 or 2 months being, blown up to the front page, and the list goes on. But the jewel itself is fine. It's just the drop rate being atrociously gated.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the golems are also like usually ranged. In particular, the flame golems are really popular because their magma orb thing or their magma
That's so
balls.
cool. Like,
oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they like shotgun or something, and they have really good spread as well.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so like the fact that they're ranged and all that really makes the aggressive jewel like work very well. So.
All right. Do we have any other questions? You guys in the chat, if you got any questions, feel free to ask them now. I think we had one reserved. I think I've went over everything in the Reddit
This is the only
post.
time that Janessa's never asked her question, so I'm not going to ask it.
I mean, I think at this point it's almost tradition, but she's not here. She's got to be here. She's got to be
She's
here.
not here. I'm not asking it.
Right. Yep,
Okay.
me either.
Cool.
There's one of our viewers. She comes in and she asks a specific question, but we're not going to do it because she missed the podcast today. It is like really early compared, but either way. What do you think of dominating blow? That's a fun question. What do you guys think of dominating blow?
You want to go first on the hate train, Uber, or should I?
I hear there's a lot of weird, crazy interactions that can happen.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Like
Weird interactions.
Like with the strong box, especially.
I remember one of my friends playing dominating blow, and he got the zombies. There's actually a death. There's actually quite a few deaths around on this where people died because somebody was playing dominating blow, and like a zombie dies, and the poison cloud becomes hostile, but it uses all of your damage links. So
didn't Rice QT kill a few guys with it as well some leagues ago?
Yeah,
I think Rice did it.
Rice
like 5 or 6
did.
weeks ago. Yeah.
Rice killed some people with it. Like even an RF person died to it.
Yeah.
Like that was how bad the cloud was. It like just insta killed them.
Yeah. It's better than Beacon of Corruption. So I mean, it's pretty brutal. That's just one out of just out of the blue. I can think of at least 9 other issues with dominating blow. So, I mean, it's no.
I've never even used the skill ever.
I tried it with the what was it? We're trying to sort the movement speed with the Baron helmet. I tried to make a DB build with Baron, and I don't generally honestly considered suicide before, but this time.
Oh god,
things have changed.
Yeah, I was on the cliff, even thinking about
it. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's cool about it is that there's like if you hit something with dominating blow and your minions kill it, like there's a short time period where all you have to have done is have hit it recently. You don't have to like cull with it. You don't have to last hit with it.
Right.
And you'll still get it. And so some people I know of would literally just like throw it on. If they had extra links on like their Animate Guardian setup, they would throw on a dominating blow as well, and they would just randomly hit rares just to get those rare bonuses and stuff for a short time. It's sort of like a mini headhunter.
Keeping on this trend, what do you guys think about conversion trap?
That's a skill that exists.
I've never used it.
No,
I've never
They
used
remove it. Yeah, no.
People use this skill still?
No,
like,
what you do is you put it in a pair of those deerskin boots, right? You follow me?
Yeah,
and you vendor the boots.
Oh, is that a good recipe? You get like alt charge, right?
Works every time.
Nice.
Hey, I know this is off topic too, but this is one recipe that is not on the wiki. I'm just saying. I don't know if people even know this, but a fuse and a chrome will give you a jeweler orb back.
It's on the wiki.
Weird.
It's a down.
I mean, the best use of a conversion trap is if the best use of a conversion trap, you just vendor it with an iron ring, and all of a sudden you actually have a sapphire ring. Holy crap! It has resistances, and iron rings are useless anyways.
Yeah,
That's a great use for a conversion trap.
Yeah.
And if it's an item level 84 iron ring, you get an item level 84 sapphire ring. Wow.
It's in the list.
Right now,
it goes in the same tier as
Polab is looking
Elemental
at the
Hit.
wiki, and he's mind blown.
I'm like, I've never seen that there ever. Like someone showed me that, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I mean,
I've
I know
never
it.
seen that in my life.
There's
That's
an
how-
entire section. There's even the mirror Calandra downgrade.
I
to
know
2
the mirror.
exalts.
I know the mirror had a downgrade. I know like all the other stuff had downgrades. I didn't know they were. Okay.
I mean, let me just like Google this on my phone real quick. Like, wait, like what? Okay, gems that are never used: conversion trap, elemental hit. Yeah, it's in those tier. It's
Have
in
you
that
guys
tier.
have you guys ever watched Angry AA's Path of Paper?
I've watched some of it.
It's essentially like Dungeons and Dragons, but Path of Exile style, which is really cool. He made elemental hit so fucking strong in his game just because it's shit in PoE. It does so much damage. It's insane.
Hey, I mean, elemental hit had a build back then. Like there was somebody that made an actual elemental hit build that was viable back then, but it was also carried by gear somewhat. So.
But I mean, with a change to it recently, it's
I was
you
gonna
can
say.
make okay builds with it, but that's about it.
What
It's
about,
okay builds.
what about with all the skill tree
okay.
changes for elemental builds? You know.
You know, this is where the comment comes in that I usually pull with a build that has a high clear speed or not, as long as you're having a fun when you're playing.
Yeah.
Elemental hit is the funniest shit ever.
Yeah.
Did my stream just crash?
Roll ads.
I don't know.
Yes. No, I don't know.
It's telling me I'm offline. Oh well.
That's
It looks
possible.
still online to me. I still have good.
It's
Okay.
online, it's
Anyways,
twitchy,
carry on.
twitchy.
So I did have a little off topic. I just started doing a bow build because we're talking about elemental hit. I found out that ice shot does a lot more damage than lightning arrow by a significant amount. Ice shot's kind of stupid, busted right now. Now you could say that the lightning arrow, all the lightning bolts come down and they can probably shotgun other monsters and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I started using ice shot and the damage is pretty sick, and you get free piercing from the jewels, and then that
Lightning arrow is a skill that you generally use when your damage is so high and you just want to maximize your AoE.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Val Spark is partially so good. Val Spark and Val Firebar are so good because they just maximize your AoE. You scale so much damage that all you're looking for is how much AoE can I cover with a single shot, right?
Yeah.
Well, with the new jewels, it gets 100% increased AoE and it gets free pierce, which does increase the damage of if you use like a drill neck, obviously.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily want pierce. Like if we're talking about like mirrored bow, like if we're talking about like blasting cap doing a build like this, right? You know, somebody that's super rich and has a ton of like high damage gear. Like you really like pierce isn't always the best. Like sometimes you want chain instead,
Right.
Because you're just spitting out so much damage that all you want is the best AoE, and chain is going to give you bounces to things that not directly in front of where you shot in the cone of where you
Wizard,
shot.
please don't. You gotta remember, you're in my guild, man. I can't be having you any. You're gonna bring the guild down. Don't do it.
Dominating blow and conversion trap guardian.
That man that
With
does
LE
the
hit.
meme builds. Hey, meme builds are fun.
I already have one guild member
hit
that does
single
meme builds. He just did
Said
a
no
glacial
one.
hammer build a little bit ago.
So
All right, guys, but it looks like our
questions
questions are done for the actual official podcast. So I'm gonna do the outro here. Just as simple as doing boom transition. It's fancy, I know. So I want to thank everyone for coming out and watching. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Twitch channel, and also make sure to follow Twitch .tv Polab. Do it also for the TheUberElite and Ghazzy. Follow all their Twitches and then their YouTube channels. They're all listed on the screen here. I want to thank you guys for coming around, and I think that this went really well. I was stoked about this shit. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I'm also going to
Yeah,
make sure to
great.
have all the links down in the description of the YouTube video. This will be a VOD for those of you that are watching in Twitch. I'll have it uploaded. I'll try to upload it before I go to sleep here. And I want to thank you all for watching, and see you guys next week.
Thank you guys for coming on the show.
Hey,
All right,
thanks for having